That would then give Craig Newkirk the opportunity to win it in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
Can he make the throw? It comes back. Here comes the throw. It's going to sail. The play at the plate. He is not in time, and a Longhorns win.
The Horns were 1-0 winners then, sweeping the season series from the Aggies. But in '89, it may be A&M here for revenge. They've sat atop the polls for 7 weeks in their star-studded lineup, headed by All-American shortstop Chuck Knobloch and slugger John Byington. Knobloch is the defensive whiz in the Aggie infield, and Big John Byington is the big gun for the Aggie offense that scores runs in rapid-fire succession. Tonight, it's the pride of Texas and #1 at stake on ESPN. College baseball and Texas Longhorns take on the Texas A&M Aggies, the #1 rated team in college baseball. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Brando, along with former New York Met MVP in 1986, Ray Knight. Happy that you joined us for the rubber match in this game series between Texas and Texas A&M. Leading off will be Lance Jones for the Longhorns, a left-hander, and he takes the first pitch outside for a ball. It's 1-0. We're happy that you joined us. We'll be bringing you up to date on what has been a wild and wacky series as this game develops. On the hill, Keith Langston. Right-hander, in and over for a strike, and the count is 1-1. He's a senior out of Pearland, Texas, and San Jacinto Community College. Jones, who's been coming out of a slump, takes the ball away, 2-1, and the crowd already on the umps. Jones hitting .304, got off to a very difficult start, but has bolstered his numbers in the month of March. Count is even now at 2-2. Tom McKinney is the umpire behind the plate for Game 2 of what is a twilight doubleheader. Game 1 finishing 18-14 just a bit over an hour ago here. 9 innings. It lasted 4 hours and 10 minutes. 32 runs scored on 29 hits and 3 costly errors in the bottom of the ninth for Texas. Opening the door and slamming the door on Jones is Langston with the heater.
Well, Tim Langston likes his fastball. He's got a fastball and a slider. He throws that four-seamer, likes to ride the ball high up in the strike zone. He throws about 80% fastballs. Here it is, that fastball right down the middle. He just had a little bit on that ball, and he couldn't get to it.
David Lowry will step in now against Langston. As you mentioned, he's a power pitcher. That's a little chopper. Could be trouble now for Terry Taylor, and it is getting into center field. That would have been a difficult play anyway, even had he gloved it, because it was such a high chop, and they'll score it a base hit.
Well, almost the only way you can make that play, Tim, right there is come get that ball and get it on the short hop. If you let it bounce again, it's almost impossible to make that play.
Ray, the bad news, as I was about to mention, for Langston and for the Aggie fans is Scott Bryant steps up to the plate, is when he is wild, he's wild high. And we know what both of these teams can do when the fastball is up in the strike zone. And Bryant is leading the nation in RBIs. 3 hits in Game 1 played last night. And in Game 1, Kirk Dressendorfer had a no-hitter going through 6 innings of play. Texas got a grand slam home run from Craig Newkirk. Bryant, though, had a couple of other RBIs, and there you see he has 75 on the year. The 1-0, and there goes Jones, and he's in safely at second base. The throw getting away, but he'll stay there as Kirk Thompson there quickly to back up the throw.
Well, here goes the second base, Laurie. Head first slide. The ball was way behind him. He had no play on that ball. Catcher just had a real bad release on that ball. He fired out. The pitch was away, and he fired out and made a throw about 10 feet inside that line, and no way that Taylor could come up with that ball.
The Longhorns do not possess the overall power that the Aggies do. They'll manufacture some runs under Cliff Gustafson. Lowry at second. 1 out, and Bryant takes the off-speed pitch, and it's 3-0.
Well, Tim, Scott Bryant, he's, as you said, he leads the nation in RBIs. He doesn't pull the ball much. He likes the ball out over the plate. As we witnessed the other night, he had 2 ball shots to right center field. He can pull the breaking ball, but he doesn't like to pitch inside, and that's where Texas Aggies picked him in the second game, first game today. they pitched him inside, and he didn't do anything with the ball.
Took that one on the outside portion of the plate, and it's 3-1. Langston, you may remember him from last year's game that Texas A&M was in, as seen here on ESPN. Had a couple of innings of relief against Oklahoma State, a game that went into extra innings and was eventually won by the Cowboys. Right down the heart of the plate that time, and Bryant, well, you could tell his eyes were big with that swing.
Well, he likes that ball out of the plate enough, as we said, and he really extends really well. That's why he's off the plate, he's upright, stays back, and see that extension of that ball. Anything out over the plate, he's going to drive. If you make a mistake up and inside, he'll hit it out of the ballpark that way because he does have power plus.
Count is full with one out and Lowry aboard at second. We're in the top half of the first inning from College Station. Didn't get around on that one. Fisting it foul, and the count holds at 3-2.
There's one thing about Scott Bryan. For a guy that hits with a lot of power, he only strikes out 10 or 11 times all year out of 180 at bats. So I think he takes a little bit off of the swing and puts the ball in the play, and that's why he's such a big RBI man.
He's played a lot of right field, some first base, and also DH. He'll be at the corner tonight. Again, up in the strike zone. Langston getting away with it for the time being. The scouts are really high on Bryant, and the only question that we've heard about him is that he perhaps may not run as well as some of the Major League scouts would like. But then again, if you're packing that kind of power, swinging off your back foot, hey, you can be an average runner.
You're exactly right. Gustafson said that he does not clog up the bases, though. He's got average speed.
Langston being forced to make a lot of pitches, and we've seen a lot of pitches today here in College Station.
We sure have. Scott Bryan's the type of guy. He's going to either play first base, DH a little bit, play right field. He's going to be a guy that's going to, if the pro scouts look at him, to drive in runs and hit home runs. He's not going to manufacture runs on the base pass, but as Gus said, he's not going to clog the bases, and he will go from first to third.
Got him with a breaking ball. He fouled off fastball after fastball, and Langston had him set up for the breaking ball here.
Langston just shows him something different. A little breaking ball, that's actually a hanger. The only thing got him right there was the speed. He took a little bit off of that breaking ball, and Bryant was out in front of it.
Arthur Butcher, swinging from the left side, now steps up with 2 out, and Lowry still aboard. Butcher, a streaky hitter, has been streaking of late. Little chopper through for a base hit, and they'll send Lowry here. Thompson up with a throw, but it's cut off. Well, they let it through, but certainly not in time. Taylor was in position to cut it, but it did go through back to the catcher, and Butcher has a base hit and an RBI.
Well, as you said, he's a streaky hitter. In the book on him, as he goes up there swinging, he's got a real quick bat, and Gus says he has a lot of raw talent. If he can just learn to get that talent and work, his work habits are good, but he just really hasn't learned to play the game of baseball yet. When he does, he says he could be a real factor in this ball club.
Doug Pettit, a surprise starter, is the designated hitter stepping up. When you talk about power, he has some. This is just his 4th start. His first 2 hits as a Longhorn were home runs. And he's up now with Butcher aboard, and Arthur Butcher does have good speed, though, as Coach Gus has mentioned time and time again, he does not have the instincts he'd like perhaps as a base runner. But with a run already in and 2 down, and the left-hander up there, look out.
Well, Gus really likes this kid Pettit. He's a true freshman. He's got a lot of power. Can hit the ball out of any park they play in, and especially this ballpark here. The ball was really jumping here early today.
During the early afternoon hours here at College Station, the ball tends to fly out towards left. We're still at that time of day, really, with a few hours of daylight remaining, and there is a wind blowing out towards left field. This is considered a hitter's ballpark in the Southwest Conference. The 1-1. Couldn't pull the trigger on what was a whale of a pitch. Well located.
Well, let's talk about Keith Langston for a minute. He has a fastball, as we talked about, four-seam fastball. He rides it. And Coach Lawler, pitching coach Lawler, said that he throws 80% fastballs, and the only time he'll throw that breaking ball is if he's way ahead and he wants to just show it to a hitter. He really likes to throw that fastball.
Got him in the strike zone up high. The Longhorns do get one run, though, in their half of the first on 2 hits. No errors, and 1 left. We'll be right back.
The nice thing about Geo Prism's 16-valve dual overhead cam fuel-injected engine is the very smartly designed carrying case that comes with it. Geo. And to make the new Geo Prism even more powerfully attractive, here's a special introductory offer. Get $400 cash back or new low 2.9% GMAC financing at select Chevrolet dealers now.
When rain comes into view, cool air surrounding, the air of quality cools with efficiency.
When summer heats up your neighborhood, cool down with a call for reliable, high-efficiency air conditioning from Rheem.
Call me Rheem. Cool air of quality. Call me Rheem.
ESPN's College Baseball is brought to you by GEO. No matter what you're looking for in a car, it's a GEO. By Kimlawn, for the very best in lawn, tree, and shrub care. And by York Peppermint Patty, dark chocolate, cool mint. Get the sensation. They've picked up the sensation here in College Station. Their Aggies with a come-from-behind victory in Game 1 of a twilight doubleheader, winning 18-14, leading the Texas Longhorns now in Game 2 of this double dip by a score of 1-0 as we start Game 2 in the bottom half of the first inning. Rodney Pedraza on the hill, 4-0. Look at that ERA right now.
Well, this kid really can pitch. He's a freshman. He's been probably the biggest prize on their ball club. Clint Thomas, their pitching coach, said that he came here thinking he was just going to be a receiver, and he's come in and pitched really well, and he's really, really high on this kid.
Kirk Thompson will lead it off, swinging from the left side. Thompson with a great afternoon at 1 point, 3 for 3 in the ball game. Was 1 for 4 last night, so he's had a very active series, hitting .369 with 16 RBIs. He is the table setter, make no question. He is a center fielder that's got a lot of giddy up, and he'll use it on the base pad should he get on. Just missing inside, and the count is out to 2-0.
One thing Pedraza is going to have to do is throw strikes, as with most pitchers, but he must establish that fastball. He has an excellent curveball and an occasional changeup. But Thomas said that he must start throwing strikes. If he doesn't, then they're in big trouble. He's not the type of pitcher that can pick. He has to throw strikes early in the ballgame.
And he's missed, but just by a little, his first 4 pitches. And he walks Thompson on 4, and that could be trouble. Because the rest of the way through this Texas A&M lineup, it's power on top of power. Terry Taylor hitting in the second hole really is more of a 3-hitter. You never expect this youngster to bunt the ball because he's got such great power. He's the leading home run hitter for the Texas A&M Aggies at 5'11" and 175 pounds. This junior, a 2-year letterman, has 14 home runs, including a tape measure job earlier today in the second game of the series.
But Tim, you won't see him bunt. He's the best pure hitter. Knobloch is an outstanding hitter, but he's got the best pure swing on the ball club. He sprays the ball uphill on tough pitchers. Mark Johnson said he hits the tough pitchers, likes the ball down out over the plate, and drives the ball real well. What he said was that he's not a true power hitter, as you said we talked about before, but he gets the ball up in the air here, and when those aluminum bats, the ball carries. But he does have a quick bat and generates a lot of bat speed.
Eddie Toledo went out to talk to his pitcher, Pedraza. As we said, he's been missing, but it appears that he's been painting the corners just a bit. Mark Johnson The head coach of the Texas A&M Aggies will coach at third base, and Bill Hickey is over at first base for the Aggies. Johnson did a good job waving him in. Salty Parker would have been proud. 18 runs he brought forth earlier this afternoon. And again, just missing, nipping that corner. It appears he's trying to paint the black. And the end result, 6 straight balls. And Toledo will go out again, and so will Cliff Gustafson.
Well, that's what he has to do. He can't pitch from behind. He doesn't have the tight stuff. If he gets behind, throw the ball over the fat part of the plate. If he gets ahead, he can go to that breaking ball. I don't think he's throwing a breaking ball yet. He's got a good changeup, but his best pitch is that breaking ball, and it breaks straight down. He said it's really nasty. But if you can never throw strikes with a fastball, it's tough to get to that breaking ball.
Now the defense for the Aggies, or the Longhorns, looks this way. Scotty Bryant is in right field. Lance Jones over in center. Arthur Butcher is playing left field. Craig Newkirk is at third. Steve Bethea at short. David Lowry at second. Dave Collison at first. Behind the plate is Eddie Toledo. And as we mentioned, Pedraza on the hill looking for his first strike of the evening. Taylor, a dangerous hitter on a 2-0 count. He took that one, though.
Well, that's one thing that Mark said, that Taylor, although he's a good hitter, he takes a lot of pitches, 2-0 and 2-1. He'd like to see him get a little more aggressive in that situation, especially with the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Modest lead for Thompson, really. And the breaking ball is down low for a ball, 3-1. Kurt Thompson, the runner at first base, only caught 5 times on 28 attempts, 23 steals. He had some sound coming from the booth up here. A very active public address announcer who has some enjoyable, I might add, music to play throughout the course of the evening. Each Texas A&M player has his own theme song as he comes to the plate. That time an inadvertent cart bringing forth a little music, so the umpire quickly stopped play. The 3-1. Changed speeds a little that time, high in the strike zone, and Taylor went fishing.
Well, see that right there. He threw him a 2-0 pitch right down the middle, and then 3-1 he chases a bad pitch. And that's what Mark was talking about. He has a tendency to not be aggressive in situations when he really should pull that trigger.
Thompson was moving on the 3-2 pitch.
See, a lot of times 2-0 you go up there and you're afraid to make a mistake, and you can't do that if you're a good hitter.
There are the dimensions. As we mentioned, it'll fly out to left, 330, left center, 375. Straight center field is 400. The gap in right center, 375, and right field, 330. But it sails out towards left, and we have a wind out in that direction right now. Taylor, with power to all fields, goes to left field. It's up in the air, out to the warning track, and brought in by Butcher, and Thompson quickly has to get back. Well, there's an example of how the ball will carry to left field. Game 1 this afternoon, 18-14, Texas A&M winning it. Of those errors, all 3 of those by Texas coming in the ninth, opening the door for the Byington Grand Slam that won it 18-14. That tied this series at a game apiece with Texas winning last night. And now Chuck Knobloch at the plate, and Thompson quickly has to get back. Knobloch is everyone's first-round draft pick on this team. Out of Houston, Texas, a junior, drafted twice. And they quickly get it back over to first again, checking Thompson.
Yeah, Tim, he's one of the premier college players in the nation. He's really highly regarded by pro scouts. In fact, in the Cape Cod League this year, he was voted the best prospect by the pro scouts.
Thompson's moving. The throw, not in time. Nice throw by Toledo, but a good jump for Thompson, and he has his 24th stolen base.
Well, he stole this base right here on the pitcher because it was a breaking ball. Toledo gets rid of this ball great, makes a perfect throw to second base. All he has to do is tag him. He's up in front of the bag a little bit too far there, but he stole that on the pitcher on that breaking ball.
Lowry over there, about a step or so in front of the bag, as you mentioned. Thompson aboard at second with Knobloch at the plate. Out of actually Baytown, the Baytown area has been very good to Texas A&M, which really is a suburb of Houston. 3 players on this Texas A&M team are out of Baytown, coming into the recruiting class of the spring of '86, Knobloch being one of those. And they have started every game since coming to College Station. Knobloch was thrown out of today's game earlier, appealing a play at second base. It really could have cost his club, but they came back without him and mounted that 9-run rally in the ninth to win it by 4 runs. Off-speed pitch up in the strike zone, 3-0 now the count.
I asked him about that. He was questioning the umpire. He said that the guy obstructed with him. He came running in there. He didn't put his hands up, but he said he didn't slide. And I told him, I said, Chuck, he doesn't have to slide. I said, you have to hit him in the head with that ball if you want to get obstruction called.
Takes a strike. Interestingly, the umpire at second ruled him safe, though, at second base, and Newkirk went all the way around to third, and you're looking now at Danny Mascaro, who's handling the chores in the inner infield at first base. Wayne Holbrook is over at third, with Tom McKinney behind the plate. And he fouls it away. It's 3-2. So the runner eventually moved over to third, and then an umpire during the fracas and after Knobloch had been thrown out of the game ruled that, in fact, Newkirk was out at second base, and he left. And that left a lot of people in the media concerned that perhaps Knobloch was arguing that point was right and yet was thrown out of the game.
That was just an oversight by the umpires. There was no reason why the runner goes to third base. He clearly touched second base.
McKinney, Mascaro, and Holbrook, as we earlier mentioned, are umpires tonight.
He clearly touched second base on that, so the runner, Newkirk's out, and all he was doing was questioning the obstruction call, and Newkirk just trots on over to third base because he thought that he was questioning him touching the bag.
It's 1-0 Texas, but the Aggies were the threat here with 1 out. Thompson at second. Breaking ball driven deep in the left field corner. Butcher is over, makes the grab and foul ground. This is game 3 of the series. The number 1 Aggies trying to hold on to that number 1 spot. Game 1 played last night. The Dressendorfer show. He had 7 strikeouts, had a no-hitter through 6. The Aggies losing it 6-2, and a grand slam home run by Craig Newkirk in the 8th inning. Byington also had a homer off Dressendorfer. Dressendorfer had been in the dugout for about 40 minutes and had lost some of its stuff during that 5-run outburst for the Longhorns in the 8th. Other than that, Dressendorfer was unhittable. John Byington, who hit that grand slam to close this afternoon's game and win it 18-14 for the Aggies. Another one out of Baytown, as we mentioned, a junior, hitting .443 on the year, and he's second on the Aggie team in home runs with 7. Gets away from Buffet. And here comes Thompson in to score, and the problems for the Longhorns defensively may be carrying over from the 9th inning of today's earlier game. Buffet, along with Lowry and Newkirk, all 3 had errors, and that was one that should have been an out.
You cannot win baseball games with bad defense. You have to give a team 27 outs. When you give them more than that, you're looking for trouble, especially a team this offensive. He hangs his breaking ball. He hits it hard. He should have got that ball in the short hop. It wasn't that easy a play, but this Texas team has played poor defense other than the first game that they played. Most of that defense was in the outfield.
1-1 our score, bottom of the first. Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. We're happy you joined us from College Station, Texas, Olson Field. The number 1 Aggies with a packed house again, trying to take the second game of this 3-game series against the hated Longhorns. Until this afternoon's win, Texas A&M had really been shut down. They had lost 6 consecutive games to Texas. And remember, this was a team that at one point was 40-1 and is now a 41-2 club. So the Longhorns have really been a problem spot for the Aggies. Fastball on the outside corner at the knees, 1-1.
Pedraza settles down, he could be tough. He's keeping the ball low in the strike zone for the most part, Ray.
Well, he said he had a good breaking ball, and what happens, he's trying to establish that fastball, hasn't done it yet. When he throws that breaking ball, he's trying to throw it for a strike. If you get ahead of that hitter with that fastball and you're 0-1, 1-2, then you can break that breaking ball off and not be afraid. It can bite, but right now he's trying to throw that breaking ball for strikes, hanging a little bit, and these guys are on it.
Byington at first base. And a run already in, and another strike on the inside portion of the plate.
He does have a good live fastball. His fastball is 85 plus, and when he locates that fastball, it makes that breaking ball so much effective because he has good enough velocity on that fastball that they can't set on his breaking ball.
The 1-2. Breaking ball again, down in the dirt, blocked nicely by Toledo, keeping it out in front of him. Holding Byington over at first base. There's Big John.
You see right here, he really gets a lot better rotation on his ball, and that ball bites. That's what he's looking for. That's what he's known for, that good bite and down breaking ball. And when he starts getting ahead with these hitters, 0-2 right there, he went ahead and popped that, snapped that wrist, and was able to throw a good breaking ball.
Came over the top with that one just missing inside, and the count is run to full. He does seem to be playing with locations, though, doesn't he?
He really He really does. He has to move the ball around, but he's having a tough time right now locating. He's gone to 3 balls and 3 hitters, and you just can't do that. These guys are going to get you if you do.
Runner moving, and the play made by Newkirk. And the Aggies are done in their half of the first. But a run across with the help of a Longhorn error. Our score is tied at 1, the Longhorns and Aggies, and we'll return to College Station in just a moment.
The last time you were looking to buy, sell, or trade a car, you probably faced a mountain of frustration. Now, there is. Whether you're looking to buy a new or used car or sell or trade your existing car, Unicorp Auto Exchange is the answer. Unicorp Auto Exchange, the automobile advertising service that can match thousands of potential buyers with sellers. In addition, we have a staff of professionals that can assist you with financing, trade-ins, title transfers, and more. If we don't sell your car, we'll buy it. We guarantee it. Call us today.
Lee Jarman Ford, your all-American dealer, presents 4 more great reasons to buy now. Number 1, over $5 million in new vehicle inventory. Your best selection in 3 years. Number 2, buy today and get 60-month financing as low as 9.9%. Number 3, factory rebates are now as high as $1,000. And number 4, during the spring sell-a-thon, Escorts are just $59.88. Rangers just $69.88 and Taurus $10,988. Remember, no down payment delivers at Lee Jarman Ford, your all-American dealer.
The box score with in-depth cover stories, yesterday's memorable moments, and today's greatest plays. It's Major League Baseball match.
Takes a stand for the girl he loves.
I said I'm cutting in, Nick. Nick, now!
Make that a last stand.
Valerie is my girl, and I'm willing to fight for her.
On Family Ties.
Tuesday at 4 on Channel 3.
Cynthia Woodhead devoted 16 years of her life to swimming. In the '84 Olympics, she won a silver medal. She knows the value of a good investment. She invests in U.S. savings bonds. Bonds pay competitive rates, so now we can all become great American investors. To find out more or to buy bonds, call 1-800-US.
Okay.
And those are the railroad tracks beyond the right center field wall. And during the course of the evening, when Union Pacific, the Santa Fe, and beyond come rolling through, you'll hear the horn sounding, and they'll have to get out of there. Dave Tollison takes the strike on the inside corner. Sophomore out of Abilene, Texas. Made that great catch in right field last night. Reminded us of the Ron Swoboda catch in 1969 for the New York Mets. He made a beautiful diving stab in the second inning, and Kurt Dressendorfer had outstanding defensive help en route to that 6-2 win in the first game of the series. Tollison moving to first base in tonight's game, and Cliff Gustafson only really has one player, Lance Jones, that plays one position at center field. He'll move everyone else around.
those arms extended that time, fouling it down the right field line. And the count is 2-2.
Tim, you're exactly right. He said that he just doesn't have the talent on this ball club to put guys at short or second or first and leave them there. He has to juggle the lineups. For instance, Tollison has played left field, third base, center field, first base, and right field. So if he plays one guy at first base, the next guy, there's Gus right there on your screen. The next game he'll play him anywhere. So he said this team does have a lot of versatility, but lacks the overall athletic ability for guys to play one position.
Same problem as Langston jammed him that time. And you have to wonder with the deficiencies that they've had on the defensive side throughout the course of the year if all of that juggling of the lineup has played a role.
That's a good point. There's no question about it. I could play every position when I was young, but when you play one position, you get a feel for that position. Your throws are the same. And there's just no question about it. When you're jogging around, there is some adjustments to make every day.
Albright, you saw quickly motioning out to Langston, keep that ball down. That curveball hung up in the strike zone around the letters. And Albright would rather not see that pitch again. To Tollison, the 3-2. Fastball again, fisted foul, out of play. Both teams in the course of this series, Texas going in figured they had to jam the A&M hitters, and we've seen some of that today from the A&M pitching staff. As you see Mark Johnson looking on, longtime assistant at Arizona under Jerry Kendall. Really reminds us of Jerry and his mannerisms, the way he goes about the game. Understated coach in many, many ways. But he's been very, very successful since coming over to College Station. That's a little pop fly ball into, you'd like to say shallow right, but it continues to move over into right center field, and Kurt Thompson makes the play. Ball simply carrying very, very well tonight.
The 2 home runs in the first game that we saw this afternoon, I thought Newkirk hit one ball off the end of the bat, and Tollison hit the other ball off the end of his bat, and both the balls carried out of the ballpark.
Cliff Gustafson over at third base. The head man, and Bill Buffet, who's been by his side for all but one of Cliff's years. He's been at Texas for 21 years, Bill Buffet. And his son is Steve Buffet, the starting shortstop. Pitch is up and high and tight into the strike zone to Craig Newkirk. Newkirk playing third base in this series, hitting .316, 44 RBIs. His home runs have been big ones with men aboard.
Well, Gus says he's the hardest worker on the ball club. He's a coach's dream. He's got more experience than anybody on the ball club, Tim, and as you mentioned, he's a good RBI man. He loves to play. He'll play anywhere. He even pitches. He's got an outstanding arm. Made one error earlier today, but is an outstanding defensive third baseman.
Fastball jammed in again and fouled down the right field line.
In fact, you know, Gus, when we were talking, I said, who's your best defensive player? And he says, I just hope they catch it. And I said, well, who's got your best arm? And he says, nobody. I said, well, who do you want the ball hit to? And he says, Newkirk.
And you had to say with 2 out in a crucial situation.
Right.
Well, I guess Newkirk. and that's if he's at short or at third. You know, Newkirk is, as we told you tonight, this wind is blowing out towards left field and could be a factor. But the weather itself has been outstanding throughout this series after a rainout on Friday night. It rained here Friday, which really forced the day-night doubleheader that we had today and tonight. And that one's going into shallow right center. Again, Thompson will make the grab. And there are 2 down. But it is a pretty night in College Station. The temperature has been in the 70s. You see the wind here in the Lone Star State moving briskly out towards left. Sky's fair, and really it's gusting at times out towards left field, so the wind a bit deceiving. While at 8 to 12 miles per hour, it does make this ball carry. And the humidity at 65%, not unusual for this time of year. And yes, a 1% chance of rain. Only when we come to town. Fastball up high in the strike zone, and it's 1-0. As Steve Buffet, a switch hitter, and the son of Bill Buffet, the first base coach, as we mentioned, steps up to the plate.
Well, Buffet played second base all last year. They've converted him to shortstop. He's a gutsy little ball player, makes contact at the plate, switch hitter. much better hitter from the left side. In fact, Gus says he'll juice a ball every once in a while and surprise you for a kid his size.
Yet he says, Bethea, that he prefers swinging from the right side. And Gustafson would tell you that there's no question there's more pop in his bat when he's swinging on the Brooklyn side of the plate. That one's down in the dirt. And it's 1-2. Bethea, a senior out of Austin, Texas, played at Westlake High School and Seminole Junior College, JC school in Oklahoma, where many a Longhorn has played first couple of years of his career. And he sprays that one into left field for a base hit. So Bethea aboard with 2 out here in the second inning, and our score tied at 1-1. Eddie Toledo will now come up to the plate. Double deck here in College Station. Outstanding ballpark, C.E. Olson Field. And if you're wondering who C.E. Olson is, he played with the Bambino and the Yankees in the 1920s and is a graduate of Texas A&M in College Station. And this stadium was named after him in 1978 upon its construction. Fastball in and over for a strike. Really a great part to watch a college baseball game. You truly get the entire environment here, not only because the team is so close to the fans with the double decks nestled closely here, but also because from the upper deck you can look out and see the football stadium, Kyle Field, in the background, along with the remainder of the college campus that you see here in College Station, Texas. There it is, a beautiful sight. Good lead for Bethea. And it's pushed to the right side by Toledo and not handled by Taylor. Toledo definitely going to right field that time with his swing, and Taylor unable to come up with it. Another E on the Chesterfield scoreboard.
Here's Taylor setting up right here. He's standing a little left right. This infield may be getting a little bumpy. He gets down, but he never gets down all the way. Look at him. He never gets down all the way. That ball hit his foot. And that's what happens when you don't get down all the way. He was kind of reading that hop, thinking it was going to come up. And on a play like that, all you do is make sure you're down on the ball and get that tailgate down and make the play at first base if you have to. Sometimes what happens in that play right there, you go to plant that foot to wheel and throw behind you to second base, and that foot gets in your way. I've had that happen to me a couple of times, especially playing second base.
Lance Jones steps up with suddenly a couple of men aboard, and the Longhorns threatening here in the second. Jones really got his game back together. As you see, 3 for 12 in the series with a couple of runs and an RBI. He got his act together when he was pushed back in the order to the number 2 hole when Jim Cott and I, Ray, were down in Austin, Texas for the series against Miami. He was marred in a terrible slump, a 2 for 24 start, and then Jeff Schultz was put in, inserted as a leadoff man. Jones got a chance to see more pitches hitting number 2. That took the pressure off him a bit, and suddenly he got hot. Schultz since has gone into the doldrums, and so Jones has been once again inserted into the leadoff spot.
What happens in that situation, he said that, I asked him about that earlier, he said that leading off he had a tendency to take too many pitches to try to get on base, and as a result he lost his aggressiveness. When he got a pitch to hit, he'd foul it off. Moving to number 2 in the batting order, he felt like he was there to move runners on, advance runners on, maybe bunt, and he got that aggressiveness back and started hitting.
Again in the strike zone is Langston, and as we mentioned at the top of the telecast, Langston, when he's out of the strike zone, is out of the strike zone high, and the Longhorns could make him pay. 2-1 the count with 2 on and 2 out in the top half of the second inning. Bethea with good speed at second, and it's popped into foul territory. Byington over to make the grab. So the Longhorns get a couple aboard with 2 down, but are unable to bring them in. Nothing across. We're in the middle of the second. The Longhorns and the Aggies are tied at 1. Duke, Easley, and Williams are on the way.
The nice thing about Geo Prism's 16-valve dual overhead cam fuel-injected engine
Look at John Byington right here, the concentration he has. He goes back, never takes his eye off this ball. He knows the shortstop's there, but he just says, I got it, and that ball's all his. He watches it right to his glove.
You know, that's something. That's not as easy a play as it might appear. Texas A&M is trying to hold on to number 1. Mississippi State, who took 2 from number 3 LSU in Baton Rouge last night, is number 2. And you see the back half of the top 10. Gene Stevenson's club of Wichita State and the Longhorns perhaps about to move forward. And after they finish this series, it's off to Norman to take on the 9th-ranked Sooners of Oklahoma. Andy Duke steps up with a score tied in the bottom of the promptly drills it to left for a base hit. Textbook Texas A&M hitting there.
Andy Duke is one hitter that's very aggressive. He looks for the ball, and he's very aggressive. Here's his first pitch inside, and he jumps all over it. He's one guy that's going up there looking for the ball to hit it. He doesn't care if it's down, up, in, or out. He's just very aggressive.
Mike Easley steps up now, the first baseman for the Aggies. Senior. Again out of Baytown. Sterling High School and then Lee Junior College. 328, 7 home runs, and 35 RBIs. That one's down in the dirt by a big margin, and Duke is to second easily.
Well, Toledo right here, he doesn't square his shoulders on this ball. If you see him, he kind of flinches and turns away and flinches off that ball. What you have to do right there is go down on your knees and keep that ball in front of him and keep those shoulders square. He flinched away from that ball. Watch him flinch right here. All he has to do with all that protection is drop down on those knees, square that shoulder, and keep that ball in front of him.
No one did that any better than your former teammate, Gary Carter, at New York. Still doing it, I might add, fairly well. Breaking ball drilled over to second. Lowry with the play, and Duke moves over to third. So a job well done swinging from the left side by Easley as he gets his man over to third. In fact, good defensive work as a catcher, Ray, can keep you around for a long time, even when you've lost your bat.
Well, that's what he said about Prather. Gus Gustafson said that he doesn't hit well, but he handles the pitchers and just great behind that plate. And you've got to have somebody to handle that pitching staff.
Travis Williams takes a strike, a breaking ball in and over, 0-1. Prather not starting tonight's game because I have obviously 4 hours and 10 minutes this afternoon behind the plate in an 18-14 slugfest. And, of course, catching last night's game against Dressendorfer, he's a bit winded. And Prather is a great story that will develop a bit further as this telecast progresses. Many of you may have already heard it, but he is one heck of a courageous youngster. Runner at third with 1 out, and the 1-1. Rounded foul just past third, and Mark Johnson, the head coach. And it's 1-2.
Tim, I just want to make a point. It may be a little late, but I think it's worth me mentioning. That situation, runner on second base, left-handed hitter. Mark Johnson said he does a lot of things well. Little things well. He says you don't like him if you watch him hit or field, but that's a good example of that. He hit that ball over there on the right side and got that runner to third base and sets up a possible scoring opportunity.
Williams right back up the box, and the Austin native has an RBI. Sure, always a lot of explaining in the offseason for Travis Williams when he goes back to Austin as an Aggie. Right now, he'll be going back talking about that RBI to make it a 2-1 game.
Travis Williams is a good young hitter. This ball's down. He goes right down with it. See his head on that ball. He hit that ball right over his head. Pitcher's right there. He really goes down. He jumps in that ball, but the ball just took that hard hop off of that play and right over his head with overspin. Right through the infield.
That was a good pitch by Pedraza. Down low, really out of the strike zone.
Well, that's one thing about Travis Williams. Coach said that he really stays on the ball. He's a quiet hitter. And for a freshman, he's as good a freshman hitter as he's had come through here in a long time, simply because he knows what to do at the plate. He gets a good pitch to hit, and he keeps his head on the ball.
Left fielder Jim Newman now
still having a tendency to shy away from that ball. That's an indication he hasn't been back there that much this year, and he's played a lot of first base and DH. But he's bailing out a little bit on that ball down.
Good lead for Williams. And the ball just outside, 2-0. This is not Texas A&M because of its power pack lineup that does start much on the base pads, and you see with Newman hitting in the ninth hole at .318 and a couple of home runs, that's really the reason why. Outside and away, and it's 3-0. Texas by far and away is a team that will steal bases and hit and run more so than this Texas A&M club. Sun setting in Texas. The Lone Star and the Lone Sun getting together in the twilight hours. Drills it to right field. Right there, and there are two gone. Well hit by Newman. Went right with the pitch. And some activity already in the Texas bullpen. Ryan Dare, the left-hander, all up. He pitched in the ninth inning of the game played earlier today when the errors were committed behind him. Actually, a couple of double play balls that could have gotten him a save and a win for Rob Harden, but it didn't happen. And Kirk Thompson. And you see 5 hits in this series, and he takes that pitch outside for a ball.
Well, Dare normally is their stopper. He only comes into the ball game when they have a chance to win. But in this situation, as we talked about before, they're short of pitching, and they'll use him because he can pitch 5 or 6 innings. So he may be in this game early if there's a big threat here.
We've been checking the runners a good bit. Travis Williams, not much of a threat over there. The man at the plate is the one that can get around the bases in a hurry. Kirk Thompson, he already has 1 stolen base in tonight's game.
This young man really impresses me as a hitter. I watched him in BP the first day. He gets the head of the bat on the ball, but he's smart. He stays within himself. He's a lot like Tony Gwynn. He's not as strong as Tony Gwynn, but he slaps that ball real hard to left field, doesn't try to pull the ball, on top of the ball, and hits ground balls and line drives. And that's why he's been such a success for this ball club.
And Toledo will once again go out to talk with Pedraza. Pedraza's been flirting with problems throughout the course of the evening, being outside the strike zone and pitching from behind a great deal. Cliff Gustafson and Clint Thomas and Darren Gustafson, his son, to his left. That's Kirk Dressendorfer to his right-hand side, looking on. Pitches down low for a ball. Now, the mannerisms of number 2, Kirk Thompson. Joe Morgan has the same body build, swings from the left-hand side.
He's got to flop that arm a little bit more, though.
That flinch, that's right. Takes a strike. This is the part, though, that reminds me a little of Joe. This the build, steps in, always gets a look. And again, it's more his stature and his physique than his style at the plate.
He only hopes he can make as much money as Joe.
The 3-1. Drilled into center for a base hit. Williams wheels around for third, and there are runners at the corners for the Aggies with 2 down.
Well, Kirk Thompson likes to hit the ball up the middle. Here he gets the ball out over the plate, just gets the barrel of the bat on the ball. But see how he comes down on top, hard on the ground, got the ball out over the plate. When you do that to that young man, he's going to hit it hard.
And just that quickly, Cliff Gustafson is out. He had an early conversation in the first inning, you'll recall, after 6 straight pitches were out of the strike zone. And I don't think he'll wait too long here. He makes the call already. And Dare has been warming up and is ready to go. So a quick outing indeed for Rodney Pedraza. Well, today, Shane Reynolds, pitching the first game, couldn't get an out. He pitched to 4 batters, and he was done.
Tim, you're right. Gus can't afford to let this game get out of hand. This team over here is so explosive, as they showed in the first game today. They have a stopper out there in the bullpen in Centella, so they're a little better off than Texas A&M's a little better off pitching-wise than Texas are. They cannot let this game get out of hand.
Dare he stop the Aggies' threat? We'll see. Brian Dare is on the hill when we return to College Station. The Aggies lead
Collegiate baseball top 20. The Wildcats of Jerry Kendall are number 11. Then Fresno State, Florida State, Mike Martin's club. You'll be seeing them on May 7th against Miami. Cal State Long Beach is number 15. And USC, San Jose State, Brigham Young, Pepperdine, and South Florida make up the ESPN Collegiate Baseball Top 20 as we're on the road to Omaha and Rosenblatt Stadium in the College World Series. Brian Dare, 2-2 on the year with 3 saves, an ERA of under 4. Today, he could not get an out in the ninth, but not because he didn't get his job done. He kept the ball down. They were beating it to short into third, but the defense just collapsed behind him. Otherwise, he would have picked up a save this afternoon.
Tim, his ball really runs and sinks. He's going to get a lot of ground balls, and it's a must to play good defense behind him. They love to have him on the mound because he works quickly and he throws the ball around the plate, but they're going to have to catch the ball. He's not really a power pitcher, although he struck out 38 and 35 innings.
Terry Taylor, the left-hander, with the sweet swing is the reason that Dare has been brought into the game.
Well, he features a fastball that runs and sinks away, a curveball that's straight down, and has a great straight changeup.
Travis Williams over at third, and Kurt Thompson, the runner at first base, with a good lead, and he's a threat to go. Out of the strike zone again, high and away, and it's 2-0.
Well, that's one thing he doesn't do. He's only walked 6 men this year in 35 innings. He doesn't walk very many people, so I believe he's going to battle Terry Taylor here and make him put the ball in play.
That one's fouled back, and the count is 2-1. The Longhorns using 3 pitchers today, and when you add Dressendorfer, a 4th, and the fact that he had to pitch that one pitch today, the home run to Byington, you'd think that he's done for tonight, and we won't see him. Pitching depth will really play a role for both of these clubs in this third game of the series. And it's a meaningful game. Remember, Texas and Texas A&M are tradition-rich teams, but Arkansas is unbeaten in Southwest Conference play. There you see the red indicators on the base pads. Runners at third and first. And the 3-1. And they check Thompson over at first base. So the point here is that Texas and Texas A&M currently in Southwest Conference play are tied for second. Both still have Arkansas yet on their schedule. But the winner of this game would be in the best position to win the Southwest Conference outright outside of Arkansas. The other would have to battle for positioning in the Southwest Conference tournament. That fastball up in the strike zone. Shallow center. Jones comes on to make the grab, and that does it. So the Aggies come up with another run. They strand 2 more. Brian Dare gets his job done, and at the end of 2, it's the Horns 1. Lowry, Bryan, and Butcher are on the wall. Tim Brando, along with Ray Knight, happy you joined us here at C.E. Olson Field in College Station, Texas. The beating the Longhorns by a score of 2-1. Texas A&M ranked number 1 coming into this series. And remarkable 27 games at home before losing last night to Kurt Dressendorfer, and are 41-2 on the year. David Lowry will lead it off for the Texas Longhorns as we open play here in the third. A run in each inning for Texas A&M. Texas with 1 across in the first, and were shut down in the second. The line scored 2-3-1 for Texas A&M, 1-3-1 for Texas. We talked about this earlier. Lowry 4 for 9 in the series, but Langston, already a pitching change made by Coach Gus in Texas. The onus now on the big right-hander for Texas A&M to hang in there at least for 5 innings to give Mark Johnson a few more options in the later innings of this rubber match.
That's exactly right, Tim. That's what he said. He expressed, he said, we must get 5 innings from this man. They're going to go to Scott Centella next. He's the type of guy that can throw 4 or 5 innings, but they don't want him to have to go more than that.
And remember, he had to pitch last night in 3 innings and actually surrendered that grand slam home run, and he's the ace of the bullpen for Texas A&M. These two teams will have tired arms by midweek. Which for Oklahoma is good news because they will host Texas a little later on. 2-1 the count to Lowry. Out of Vidor, Texas, and Panola Junior College. He takes the high one the opposite way to left field, and it will go to the wall, getting past Newman. And Lowry's aboard at second with a double. Oh, we've seen a pair of left-handers, Thompson in the last inning, and now Lowry getting the high pitch and handling it. And that's a rarity for most left-hand hitters at this level.
Well, Lowry is the best consistent hitter on this ball club, most consistent hitter on this ball club. This guy goes for the ball real hard. He just doesn't get to it. The ball was slicing away from him. That ball was up in the strike zone. He just sliced it away from him. He couldn't catch up to it.
Jimmy Newman unable to come up with it.
When Lowry looks at the ball, which is a no-no, and he slips over there at first base, what you have to do is you look at the first base bag, you turn that bag as hard as you go, and that first base coach will tell you whether or not the outfielder missed it.
Scott Bryant takes a strike on the outside corner at the knees, and it's 0-1. Bryant has not seen too many pitches to hit in this series. Although he is 3 for 8, most of those coming last night, in fact, all of them. He was hit twice today in the earlier game played. And they had been consistently pitching him outside last night, and he was able to handle that pitch. And today I felt they went inside on him a great deal, and that's why he got those 3 passes after being hit.
They didn't throw him anything to hit today. Everything that they threw him was inside. They made him chase some pitches up and in. He got a little anxious and started chasing those pitches. And that's what happens when they go away from your strength. His strength is the ball out over the plate and up, and they're pitching against his strength, and he hasn't adjusted yet.
You see, he is well off the plate as it is, and he sets up outside, does Albright, but it's up high. 1-2 the count.
All he's doing right there is just showing him that pitch away, and then come right back and bust him inside and throw that breaking ball in the dirt right here. Until he shows these guys he can hit that pitch inside, they're going to, anytime there's a crucial situation, they're going to bust him inside.
Breaking ball. And oh, by the way, swing by Bryant, really defensively. And it's 1-2. Coming up next week on ESPN, Kentucky and Mississippi. The Wildcats were just a game away from the College World Series last year. And they'll take on the Rebels in a beautiful new park in Oxford. 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. We hope you join us. Scott Bryant facing a 1-2 count. No one out, and Lowry with a leadoff double here in the third. Boy, Bryant commented to me yesterday during batting practice that he loves hitting in this ballpark because the ball carries so well here. And this team, this Texas team, has been so successful, winning 14 of its last 16 against the Aggies. They're just supremely confident anytime they play in this ballpark.
When you beating a team that consistently, there's something that's like a mystique about it. You come here and they expect to get beaten.
Couldn't quite get around on that one, but Bryant loved it.
Well, he tries to come inside on the pitch before and just got it out over the plate. Here again, he tries to come inside with him and runs this ball in, and Brian just can't get to this pitch. He hits that ball way inside the label there. He just does not like the ball inside unless it's all-speed breaking ball.
He was fooled and struck out on a breaking ball his last time. And there it was again.
And that's what they're trying to do, and they're showing them breaking ball away, sometimes spotting that fastball up and away, and then when it comes the pitch to make something happen, they're trying to get him inside. And they did it in the second game, but I don't blame him. Last night he hit those 2 balls out over the plate and probably has as much power as anybody in the nation to right center field.
They're playing him straight away. 2-2 the count with nobody out. Fisted foul again.
The thing about that, those pitchers are balls. Those are balls. He keeps swinging at balls in there, and he's either going to have to open his stance up a little bit and think about getting the head out front and pulling the ball hard. Until he does that, they're just going to keep hammering him in there. And eventually they're going to run a ball in there 4 or 5 more inches off the plate. He's going to swing at it and hit a number to third base or miss it. But he keeps going farther and farther and farther inside, and he keeps chasing it in there. Those pitchers are balls.
2-2 the count. Langston throwing a lot of pitches to Scott Bryant. Breaking ball popped into shallow right field. Andy Duke comes on. And there's one down. If you're wondering about Langston, and we mentioned it's so important to Texas A&M that he get at least 5 good innings in it. His longest outing so far this year, 7 complete against the Baylor Bears. Texas A&M got the win in that game, but this is a pitcher that normally goes 5 2/3 on a good night. And this is a team that behind him has an ERA average of right around 3. In fact, in Southwest Conference play at 3.03, but that, of course, will go up after today's slugfest. Texas coming up with 17 hits and 14 runs in a losing cause. Arthur Butcher takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Crowd on Butcher each time he swings the bat. This is a great crowd. Mark Johnson and John Hickey there handling the defensive chores, moving his defense around, and there's Mark Johnson, and there's this standing room only crowd that we have on hand, 5,000 plus, and if they counted those that are in the outfield, and I do mean around the outfield all the way across, they would have better than 6,000, 6,500 or so for all home games. Outside of the left field lounge in Starkville, Mississippi, there are more viewers here out of the ballpark than in any other college environment. And Butcher goes down swinging. That's a big strikeout for Langston.
It certainly is. Butcher is a free swinger up there, and he gets his ball. Looks like a breaking ball, and he just gets out over the plate. He kind of hangs there for him, and Butcher just out in front of him couldn't get there. That ball hung. He hung a ball to Scott Bryant the same way. It just takes a little bit off of that pitch, and those hitters looks real good to him, and they get out in front of it.
Did you see that quickly, too? Albright coming up after the strikeout saying, get it back down. Get that breaking ball down in the strike zone.
Well, those are the kind of balls that go about 450 feet. But you know what happens, Tim? A lot of times you go up there and you see that breaking ball. It looks so big to you that you try to jump all over it, and that little bit of jump tends to throw you out in front of that ball. If you just wait on it and stroke it, then you drive the ball out of the park easily, because that ball, all you have to do is get any part of the barrel on the bat, and it'll fly because it's up and it's got a breaking ball spin on it.
The 1-0 pitch to Doug Pettit. Boy, the heater, and he couldn't get around on it. 1-1 the count. Well, he successfully changed speeds, and that time Pettit couldn't get around. They're doing a lot of work in that A&M dugout, moving their defense around with this surprise starter in here. They had to open up that scouting report, I'm sure, on Pettit, a player that's only started 2 times this year.
Well, our scouting report is he hits the ball to left center. Although he's big and strong, he doesn't pull very many balls, and that's what they did. They shifted outfield around that way.
Tried to pull that one, but couldn't get it done. 1-2 now the count with 2 down.
Well, now that Langston's established that fastball, he's throwing his breaking ball, and he throws one breaking ball, but he takes a little speed off of it, his slider, and then when he takes a little speed off it, it becomes a slurve or a curveball type breaking down breaking pitch, and that's what he's doing now. He's taking speed off of that breaking ball, and it's giving these guys fits right now.
Lowry aboard with a leadoff double, but he could be left stranded unless he can be picked up by Pettit. And again, up high in the strike zone, Pettit goes down swinging. They're on their feet in Aggie land, and Keith Langston feels it. He may have more than 5 in him. His Aggies up by a run with Knobloch, Byington, and Albright coming at you when we return.
You just paid $12,000 for a new pickup. Your neighbor did too. Your neighbor bought a Duraliner. You didn't. Now, which truck do you wish was yours? Without Duraliner? With Duraliner. Duraliner's the world's #1 selling truck bed liner. Remember, if it doesn't say Duraliner, it's not a Duraliner.
Call American Dealer Accessories, Metro 817-589-2391 for the supplier nearest.
Lee Jarman Ford, your all-American dealer, presents 4 more great reasons to buy now. Number 1, over $5 million in new vehicle inventory. Your best selection in 3 years. Number 2, buy today and get 60-month financing as low as 9.9%. Number 3, factory rebates are now as high as $1,000. And number 4, during the spring sell-a-thon, Escorts are just $59.88. Rangers just $69.88. And Taurus $10.988. Remember, no down payment delivers at Lee Jarman Ford, your all-American dealer.
Texas A&M with a 2-1 lead over the Texas Longhorns as we move to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. Happy you joined us. It's our first opportunity to work together. It's good to have you with me, partner.
Thanks, Tim. It's really a pleasure being here. And we talked about that crowd last night. It seemed like a World Series crowd, and I don't mean college World Series. I have not heard that kind of noise in a long time, although I haven't played in 4 or 5 months, but...
It is the Aggie Express to Omaha. They'd love to get there. They've been on the edge of greatness the last 2 years, this Texas A&M team, as Chuck Knobloch takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Texas A&M was knocked out of the College World Series last year in the regional finals against Cal State Fullerton, and the year prior to that, they lost to Oklahoma State. Knobloch taking Bryant to the warning track, and there's one away. So this is a team, a veteran team, basically a junior-senior-oriented squad that's been close. This time they'd like to make it all the way to Omaha.
There's not anything better than experience. And these guys, talking to them before the game yesterday and before the game today and in between the games, they have a lot of confidence. They said, to heck with that Texas mystique. We're the #1 team in the country, and we're out to prove it.
John Byington, the hero of the earlier game today, takes the ball. He had a grand slam in the 9th to win it 18-14 for Texas A&M. He's going to see a lot of breaking balls the rest of the way. That's a fair ball, and he's out. Handled nicely that time by Newkirk over at the corner.
Newkirk is a good fielder. He gets down, he sets, he doesn't panic, he gets himself set up, gets good balance and throws that ball after getting set up. That's a good play right there. He never panicked on that ball. A lot of times guys will run over there and get their feet all caught up. He just took it easy, glided over there, read the nice hop, set himself backhanded, and made a good strong throw.
He had to be upset with himself with the error that he committed in the 9th inning that really opened the floodgates for Texas A&M. As we mentioned, 3 errors in the 9th by Texas as the defense simply collapsed for Coach Gustafson. And then Byington hit that grand slam. Eric Albright with a 1-1 count now, and the Aggie fans looking for more offense in the bottom of the 3rd. Oh, he pulled the string on him that time. 1-2.
Adair is a crafty pitcher. He's got that changeup. See him grip that ball, and he just good arm motion, and that ball just drops out, bottom drops out of it. That's the toughest pitch in baseball to hit for me as a hitter, that changeup, because it's so deceptive. You see that real good arm motion, the ball just doesn't get there.
There it was again, and he's down on strikes. So the Aggies go quietly, very quietly, here in the 3rd. Nothing across for Texas A&M. The Longhorns and the Aggies going for supremacy in the Southwest Conference. Texas A&M 2-1.
For the fire, for the drive, for pushing hard each time you try. For the heroes staying true, for the team for coming through this blood for you.
World champions for the 4th year in a row, the Budweiser King, and Motor Week's Driver of the Year, Kenny Bernstein.
This blood for you.
Now, with Budget Rapid Action and an express reservation, you go right from the plane, straight to Budget Express, and into your car. Just sign the contract, and you're off. That's Rapid Action. Priority service for people on the move.
Hello, Budget Rent-A-Car.
I'd like to reserve a car, and I'll take that free upgrade.
There
Certainly, Mr. Hadley.
At Budget, a free upgrade is yours for the asking. And a frequent flyer card will get you unlimited mileage. Value mile after mile from Budget.
Hello, Budget Rent-A-Car.
We won the World's Championship. I think my value as the head coach began to diminish somewhat. We needed another person. We needed to be revitalized, and this is just the right time.
Here are scores from action today. The aforementioned 2 games played over the weekend here. A&M winning today with that outburst, the 9-run ninth. Baylor and Arkansas. Norm DeBriyn's club never gets the credit it deserves, sweeping Baylor in a 3-game set. And they, of course, have Texas and Texas A&M yet to play on their schedule. LSU losing 2 out of 3 at home. Ben McDonald had 13 strikeouts, walked 1, and yet lost 4-3 last night. Springer was knocked out early, the left-hand star that Skip Bertman has, yet LSU won today, 19-8 in Baton Rouge. And Mississippi and Florida getting together, and Florida taking 2 out of 3 in that series. It's 2-1 here in the 4th. And the ball taken inside, and it's 1-0. And so far, Keith Langston getting the job done for Texas A&M on the hill. Tollison grounds it to short, and there's one gone quickly. Knobloch, fundamentally sound at shortstop, makes them very tough up the middle.
Look how he sets right here with that glove on the ground. That's just picture perfect. He gets a good jump, quick feed, sets himself. But look how he sets himself and takes that crow hop and throws. Look at that arm speed. He's got the best college arm I've seen so far. I've only seen 4 or 5 games, but he's got a major league shortstop arm.
Knobloch had a broken leg his senior year in high school. As a matter of fact, that may have been the best news for Texas A&M. As terrible as that may sound, he may have been on his way to a major league contract out of high school, yet he went down to the 18th round after being injured his senior year. Greg Newkirk 3 for 9 in this series. And he takes the breaking ball and chops it to Knobloch again. And there are 2 down. And Knobloch may have had a career in front of him that could have had him maybe AA, AAA ball by now, and yet after the injury thought the best position for him to go was to college simply because he may improve upon his draftability, and he's certainly done that. He's destined to be a number 1.
Well, he had a lot of ability, and what happens when someone's injured, the only reason he was drafted in the 18th round had nothing to do with his ability. They were afraid of that injury.
Buffet fouls it away.
I had something similar to me happen like that, Tim. I broke my ankle playing high school football and had 2 operations on it, and I'd always been a shortstop, and I was projected as a number 1 draft choice. And after I broke my ankle, they drafted me as a third baseman pitcher, simply because I lost a couple steps and didn't have that quickness that I had before.
Buffet with a good series, 3 out of 8, as we showed you a moment ago, with a run scored and an RBI. He takes the strike, and it's 0-2. Slapped a single his last time. The 0-2 is up high, but fouled away. Well, the Longhorn left-handers really nibbling for that high hard one, and even the high breaking ball at times.
Well, that's because Langston now has established that strike zone. Everything he's throwing is right around the plate. He's 0-2, 1-2 on everybody. So every pitch that he throws appears to be a strike or just a little bit off of that strike zone. And that'll get those hitters to swing the bat.
Oh, a fastball in and over on the inside corner. And Langston set him up beautifully. From up high in the strike zone to down low, and Buffet couldn't pull the trigger. Nothing across for the Longhorns. 2-1, Aggies in the middle of the 4th.
We've treated all but one of these steps with Wood Life Wood Preservative. That's the one. Wood Life, to protect wood from rotting and moisture.
DAP 230 sealant will last for 50 years or more. That means it'll not only outlast conventional caulks, it just might outlast your house. DAP 230 sealant, for the jobs you only want to do once.
Now a new generation of scientifically engineered motor oil. So technologically advanced, it provides state-of-the-art protection for your car's engine for a longer, carefree life. When you won't settle for anything less than the absolute best, Citgo SuperGuard. The new generation.
But he just took a high foul off a high pitch. Here comes with a fastball right down the middle. I don't know what he's thinking here. He has to be looking for breaking ball. It's the only thing that he could do there. Unless he swung at that other high fastball, he says, I've got to be a little more selective here. You can't be real selective with 2 strikes, though.
2-1 our score in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. We're happy you joined us. The Longhorns trailing the Aggies by a score of 2-1 in the 3rd game of a crucial Southwest Conference series. Texas A&M 41-2, trying to preserve their number 1 ranking. May have picked up a little help from LSU's win today over Mississippi State. And the boys from Starkville swept LSU in Baton Rouge. They would have been in perfect position to move up in our ESPN Collegiate Baseball magazine poll to number 1. But then again, the issue isn't settled here, is it? Duke 3 for 8 in the series with 3 runs scored and an RBI. Also an outstanding catch made in Game 1, played last night. Well, you get the feeling as you watch college baseball games, as the pitchers go, so go the games, the defense, and the hitting in crucial situations. Brian Dare trying to get it done in relief of Rodney Pedraza tonight for Texas.
Tim, that's pretty much true with every game of baseball. If you get good pitching, you're going to have good ball games, quick ball games, usually good defense. And the only thing is, in our first game today, we had bad defense and it hurt the pitching.
Well, that was in on the fist. Duke gets it out to left, and Butcher has plenty of room. And there's one gone. But you even mentioned to me in watching last night, with the catches that we had made by Kirk Thompson, which would really rival that of Willie Mays in '54 against Vic Wirtz. I mean, really an over-the-shoulder catch on the warning track. That this was a game that really looked like a major league type game with the style of defense, and it really was because they were on their toes with great pitching being done, both by Pat Sweet of Texas A&M, who's really a nibbler, a junk ball pitcher in a sense, and of course Dressendorfer with his heat. Mike Easley steps up.
You're right. That game last night had everything. We talked about it a little bit before. The crowd was into the game so much, but Dressendorfer just really pitched a great ball game, and it was as well a played game as I've seen. It just moved right along, 2.5 hours or so, and just everything was done right. A textbook.
Breaking ball in on the fist and out of the strike zone. 2-0.
I know as an infielder, you hated for a pitcher to go out there and take his time and throw balls, 3-2, 3-1. A lot of times they say, well, you make an error on the play, but as long as that pitcher throws the ball around the plate consistently and throws strikes, and you're going to make the plays behind him defensively.
Texas, by the way, if you're wondering about how well they've played on the road this year, they are 6-3. Now, they've only played 9 road games, and that's not unusual for Cliff Gustafson. He loads up on those games played at Disch-Falk Field in Texas. He'll pack the house there for all of their games, and Texas A&M much the same way, playing most of their games at home. And teams love to come here because they know they're going to get this big-time environment, and it prepares them for the postseason. 3-1 the count now to Easley. Just underway in the bottom half of the 4th inning, and the Aggies leading by 1. 3-2 the count.
Deere almost looks like to me he can throw a strike anytime he wants to, Tim. He goes to 3-1, but he comes right back with that ball right down the heart of the plate, but he takes a little bit off of it with a little movement, and that's why he's so effective.
That one's chopped into the hole for a base hit. Lowry was pulled around towards the bag at second, and they were playing him to spray the ball and not pull it, and Easley served it into right field for a single. Travis Williams steps up. He scored a run. his last at bat. One out with one on. Dare had Albright all tied up that time, or I should say easily all tied up, going back to first base. 1 for 9 in the series for Travis and an RBI. Dare, in his last 5 relief appearances, 22 and 2/3 innings, has retired 66 of 79 batters, so he's seen a lot of time. Fan 23 coming into tonight's game. And as we mentioned, could have very easily picked up a save earlier this afternoon in that game, had not the Longhorn defense gone astray.
Well, he has only an average move, according to Gus, and easily has a little below average speed, so I don't imagine he's going to be running here. But he could be thinking he's going to hit and run, but like you said before, Mark Johnson, he just lets these guys swing the bat and create these big innings.
Mark, as we mentioned, really a quiet leader in many, many ways, but you could tell in our conversation with him last night that coming off the loss to Dressendorfer, his team was in desperate need of a victory, simply from the mental attitude, realizing that Texas had come in here and had won 6 consecutive times, and he's only beaten before today 1 time in 14 tries. So as a coach with a guy like Gustafson in Austin, who's gone to so many College World Series and has won a few, this is a very big series for Mark Johnson as a head coach, to say the least. 2-1 now. The count as Dare goes up in the strike zone some. There's Gus, the trainer alongside. Boy, he just takes it easy, right? Keep on keeping on. That's the theory of Gus Ball in Austin, Texas. Mild-mannered man who's done nothing but win over 1,000 plus. He and Ron Fraser, the only 2 active coaches to win that many. These are the guys that are simply the future of college baseball, and in years to follow, we'll look back and talk about the Frasers and the Gustafsons and the table that they set for the game of college baseball.
You may not believe it or not, but I think Dare's a lot tougher on right-handed hitters than left-handed hitters.
Swung on and missed the breaking ball. Easily eases into second on the hit-and-run attempt.
And I've always thought that, Tim, and the reason for that is that left-handers got that ball. Randy Jones was really nasty. John Tudor, those type guys, Frank Tanana, they don't throw hard, but that ball moves away, and it's very difficult to hit it.
And the Union Pacific comes into play. Move over. Right field lounge. We're coming through. Jim Newman at the plate now for Texas A&M.
Just to continue my thought on that, as a left-handed hitter, that ball running into you, he doesn't have overpowering stuff. The only thing gets you is that movement down and into a left-handed hitter. As a right-handed hitter, I could not stand facing those left-handers that the ball just moved away from you and just like a dead fish. And the only thing you could do to it was foul it off to right field or right field stands.
And he goes to the right side. It's handled by Lowry, and Texas A&M is done. Nothing across. They leave a runner aboard. This has settled into quite a rubber game. A 3-game series with both teams tied at upwards of 50. And our score here, the Longhorns of Texas trailing Texas A&M by a score of 2-1. I am Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. We're happy you joined us. The Aggies with a run in both the first and second, and the Longhorns with their run coming in the first inning. And Keith Langston rocking along now into the 5th inning, an inning that he has seen many times, but very few times has he gone far beyond that. Count is 1-0 now to Ed Toledo. Toledo chops it to Knobloch. Well, that is a gun, isn't it? Over to first for the out. You know, we talk about the push-off of that foot, the leg drive for pitchers many times. Very rarely do you hear about leg drive for a shortstop, but he's got that in this trigger over to first base.
Well, he does everything right as a shortstop. He charges that ball. He reads the hops. He knows how to play shortstop. You try to catch the ball on the bottom of the hop or the top of the hop, and once he gets it, you're out.
Lance Jones fisting it foul down the left field line. Jones from Corpus Christi, Texas, and Alvin Community College. If he gets aboard, he is clearly the best runner on this club. He's 0 for 2, having struck out and fouled out in his earlier at-bats tonight. But if he gets on in a tight game, Gus will move him. And he's trying to get on every way possible. Langston, as we mentioned, used in relief last year. Also had some problems with blisters on his throwing hand that gave him some problems. Those have since gone away. And he's really been much more consistent this year for Mark Johnson. 1-2 the count. Away again. Texas, by the way, had a start very similar to the one Texas A&M had this year back in '77. 40-1. And it was matched by the fierce rival, the Aggies. The dreaded Aggies got it done against his team, 40-1. And they've had problems against Texas, losing 6. But 40-1 really doesn't matter if you're playing the Little Sisters of the Poor. That's quite a record to start any college baseball season. Curveball just missing inside. That is utter dominance. And when you look at the A&M offense averaging better than 350 as hitters, and then their pitching averaging right around 3 at the earned run level, I mean, we're talking about a solid team offensively and defensively. Just missing inside. And they're really without the superstar player. They don't have the one stopper, the Dressendorfer, and they really don't have the true power hitter in the truest sense, the big guy that will get you a lot of run production throughout the course of the year. Harry Taylor does have 14 home runs, but he is not a prolific home run hitter. And that ball's just down low for a ball, and Jones is aboard.
Well, they have a collection of great talent. You don't have a guy that's going to hit 15, 20 home runs other than maybe Taylor, but everybody on this ball club knows how to play. They all play their position well. They all run average or a little above average. They all have good, strong, accurate throwing arms. The only thing that they do lack, as you said, is a real strong pitching staff, the type that takes you to Omaha, and you have a couple of starters that go out there and blow people away. Their starters are going to get hit, but with their offense, they can usually outscore that other team.
There you see the titles. Texas with 61, A&M with 13, and TCU with 6. Right back at Langston. To Knobloch. Over to first, and easily gets it. And Texas A&M, with the much-needed double play, works its way out of it. Through 4.5, it's 2-1 with Thompson, Taylor, and Knobloch on the way.
Can't speak English? Well, you can still get a job. Maybe not the job you'd want, one you'd be proud of. But hey, a job's a job, right? Don't get pushed to the bottom of the job market just because you can't speak English. Jobs like these require good language skills. Improving yours can help you get a better job. Watch Encounters, English as a Second Language, on the Learning Channel.
What you got there, Bob? A lawnmower. They had them on sale at the discount store. Did you get a deal? Yeah, but they said some assembly was required.
Tired of going down the wrong road for your mower sales and service? Then come to Main Street Mowing Equipment in Duncanville, your one-stop shop for all your lawn care needs. We have all the major brands at the lowest prices, like this high-quality Toro lawn mower starting at only $319.95. Our service to the customer is unequaled, and we care long after the sale. Come to Main Street Mowing Equipment today, and while you're there, compare the new Toro to the other brands.
Ball's hit back to Langston here. Look at Knobloch, giving him a good throw, getting on that bag, touching the bag, clearing way to the inside, getting out of the way of that runner, and giving that good, strong throw to first base right on the money.
Well, that's a rarity to see a replay where the tag is actually made at second, Ray. Brian Dare back on the hill for the Longhorns, and a job well done since coming in after an inning and a third of work for Rodney Pedraza. Both he and Keith Langston have been mowing them down. Both teams chipping away with 4 hits. Both teams with 1 miscue. But outside of that, a very consistent game. And I think pitching has a lot to do with that. And when you consider the 32 runs scored earlier today, it could have been very easy for these clubs to have really been sloppy in the first 4 innings.
There's no question about it, but they are 2 quality ball clubs. And whenever you have guys that run the organization the way that these guys do, Gustafson and Mark Johnson, you're going to have people, even when they play sloppily, they talk about it and they come back and they regroup and play good baseball.
Kirk Thompson 1 for 1, 6 hits in the 2 games played today, and he bunts for 1 here.
That's one of those old slug bunts right there. He just tried to hit that ball by the pitcher. I asked Mark earlier, could he bunt? He said he's not really a good bunter, but what he does right there is he slug bunts the ball and just gets it by the pitcher and beats it to the bag. He feels more confident about getting the bat on the ball by swinging at it or half swinging at it. And we used to call it the old slug bunt. Make sure you get it on the ground and then you just beat the pitcher over there. It's a lot easier when he's a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah. And of course, being a left-hand hitter with good speed, Thompson, you figure, could really bolster his average going to the drag bunt or the slug bunt from time to time, as Terry Taylor, affectionately known as TNT, 0 for 2, flying out twice tonight. But a big bat this afternoon in Game 2 of this series. And look out for Thompson over at first. Certainly Brian Dare's aware of it.
Well, Mark Johnson over there, he's motioning for him to get a bigger lead. I don't know if he wants him to get a one-way lead and just test his move and find out what kind of move he has, but I just saw him make a big motion with his hands, which normally gets get a bigger lead and one-way lead, you going back.
They may have him hung up. Thompson's speed gets him there.
No, he said get a bigger lead and go.
Oh, they love that here.
Well, this is a great example for young base stealers. What he does right here with a left-hander, he goes on the first move. He saw the move the first time he came over there. He went on the first move. As soon as he saw that ball, that pitcher move to anything, his shoulder, his knee, or break his hands, he's gone. There it is right there. He had no chance. He really beats that throw to second base simply because he went on the first move and Darrell was a little slow getting to first base with that throw.
Now Taylor, with a man in scoring position, becomes really much more of an offensive factor. This is a guy that loves to bring in runs when they're in scoring position. A pure hitter from the left side, the closest thing to a Robert Redford natural on the Texas A&M team at the plate.
He does have a good short stroke. Hits the ball hard up the middle.
That one gets away, and Thompson may get all the way around the horn here. Good turn at third, but it's finally corralled by Toledo.
Well, as we talked about before, all these good plays and everything, the pitcher settled down, and all of a sudden, these kind of things like this, these pass balls gets them in a situation with 2 shots to score a run with a ground ball. The infield probably going to be back, fly ball, base hit. You must play that good, fundamentally sound baseball, and when you don't, just those floodgates open.
Gigamaggies, right? Up high, out of the strike zone. And the count is 2-1 to Taylor.
Tim, in this situation as a hitter, 2-1, especially a left-hander against a left-hander, I always, as a right-handed hitter, I like to get the ball up out over the plate to try to hit the ball to opposite field because it was easier to hit the ball in the air with the ball out over the plate to right field. Let's see what Terry does right here.
Roundhouse curve that time out of the strike zone, missing outside, 3-1 to count.
Terry's unlike a lot of left-handers hitters. We talked about it. A lot of left-hander hitters like the ball down and in where they can get that bat head on it. Terry likes the ball kind of up out over the plate.
Changed speeds that time on him, and Taylor was out in front. 3-2. Thompson at third. No one out. We're in the bottom half of the fifth.
Right here, he just has to make contact. You have the middle of that infield back. Anything up the middle is going to get a run in.
Well, he sat on that breaking ball that time, fouling it away. Nice catch.
Well, this is just a free RBI for you right here. Any routine ground ball up the middle, second, shortstop's a base hit. I mean, it's an RBI, and this is a crucial run being up 2-1, so he needs to shorten up right here, and even if he hits a ground ball to short, that's a run.
The Longhorns will give up the run, and he can't make contact, and that is rare. So a good strikeout for Dare. One away with Knobloch coming up.
Well, there goes that bread and butter breaking ball, and Taylor doesn't stay back. It makes a good location. That's a tough pitch to hit. 3-2. That's a very, very good pitcher's pitch right there.
Knobloch reaches out and touches it to center, but Lance Jones hauls it in at the warning track. Thompson will tag and score. The Aggies lead by 2, 3-1.
He's going back right here. He has his eye on the ball all the way, watches it right into his glove, knows he has no chance to throw the guy out at home. That ball's out there 400 feet from home plate. The thing I liked about it, though, was Knobloch. We talked about getting our pitch up in the strike zone, but he's a definite low ball hitter and can hit that low ball in the air, and that's what he did there.
John Byington takes the strike. The interesting thing about that is we see our score 3 runs on 5 hits for the Aggies is that Knobloch really did not hit that one soundly at all. I mean, he reached out and touched it. One-handed swing, he took it to the warning track. Pulled the string on him there, and it's 0-2.
Well, these guys are on an extensive weight program, especially this man right here, Big John Byington. He talked about before. You watch it, look at his arms right there. They lift weights, and they're strong, so they don't have to get all that ball with an aluminum bat. They just have to get a part of it, and they can send that ball out there.
Breaking ball again gives him trouble on the outside corner, and he goes down on strikes. It's 3-1 Aggies as they come up with another here in the baseball on ESPN is brought to you by the new Sterling 827 Grace Under Pressure and by the good time, great taste of McDonald's. Texas A&M and Texas underway here in College Station. 3-1 our score. The Aggies with the lead, picking up another run in the home half of the 5th inning. Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. We're happy you joined us. The series is tied at a game apiece. This is the 3rd game of the set. And for the winner of this team, an opportunity to move into better contention for an outright Southwest Conference championship. And listen to this crowd.
I tell you, these people are really into it. I didn't know what this was college baseball. I didn't know this is what it was all about. These people come here to just have a good time. And it amazes me, like we talked about before. We probably have 2,000 people out there on the railroad track. Is there anything else to do here in College Station?
Believe me, there is. We'll do it after the game.
There they are. You think they're feeling pretty good right now?
Oh, they're having a great time. And those lawn chairs and pickup trucks. This has been a great weekend for college baseball and crowds. Up the road about 5.5 hours. Baton Rouge was packed for a series against Mississippi State at Alex Box Stadium, and the fans are sitting on the fences here. Earlier this afternoon, there were fans actually found across the way where the tennis courts are located, standing in the top of trees. They have tree houses over there. Bryant pops it up over to Easley. And he's 0 for 3.
They just have him frustrated right now after hitting the ball so well. Look at those guys.
How could you possibly sit on a fence, particularly today when a game lasted 4 hours and 10 minutes?
I don't know. I have a tough time sitting in this chair.
I don't know that Bart Connor could handle that. The gymnast.
I was going to make a comment about Scott Bryant. After drilling the ball the first night, he's really frustrated because what they do now, they've got him out of his mode. He's swinging at anything they throw up there, and he's not getting a good pitch to hit.
Butcher.
I'll tell you one thing, if I'm sitting over there on the bench, it's very important to pay attention, whether you're in an on-deck circle or on the bench and learning how a pitcher pitches. This guy, right now, he gets ahead of you that first pitch and then plays with you. I'd come off of that bench hacking. Tim, because he's established now that he can throw that ball for a strike, the fastball. He's throwing it for a strike, the first and second pitch. These guys are taking it, and then they get behind 0-2, and then he throws that high fastball, that breaking ball, and gives them trouble.
The 1-2 is chopped foul. Butcher, by the way, an outstanding basketball player at Roosevelt High School in San Antonio, Texas, actually played against Finis Dimbo. Remember, Finis played at Wyoming and made it to the NCAAs a couple of years ago, and in fact, his claim to fame in high school was holding Finis to 9 points while guarding him in a high school basketball game. So this is an excellent athlete in many sports. Check swing did not go around. They checked the third base umpire, and he says, he did not go around.
Well, Langston has given them their 5 innings, and anything from here on out is a big plus. And you can bet that right now Centella's over there, and he's getting those butterflies, getting ready to come in this ball game. But I tell you, this guy right now doesn't show any signs of time.
Up high for a ball, and the count is run to full. It's 3-2 with 1 gone here in the top half of the 6th inning. Well, Mark Johnson has gotten all he wanted and then some from Keith Langston tonight. It's all lanyap from here on in. Just missing down low, and Langston wanted it. And Butcher has good speed. That ball could come back to haunt him.
Well, right here, he makes a good pitch. I don't know how Butcher cannot swing at this ball right here. Look at his reaction. Look at that right there. He thought that pitch was a strike, and I did too. If that ball was a ball, it was down an inch. I don't see how Butcher could take a pitch that close.
Doug Pettit, 0 for 2. A couple of strikeouts. One of them with men aboard. I'm really impressed with the job done by Eric Albright. You can tell he's consistently communicating with Langston. Keep the ball down when it's up in the strike zone. And 93 pitches have been thrown already, so he's trying to get the most out of his starter. Been a great receiver tonight, lining up on the outside portion that time and picking up the call strike. It's 1-1. Now, as a manager, or a coach in this case, he's thrown 94 after that. Is that about on target for you, Ray, if you're Mark Johnson right now?
It all depends on what they started out with their game plan being. I would think that any time he gets in trouble now, they're going to get him out of there. They said they wanted 5 innings, but it depends on your pitcher. They said this guy's a 5 or 6 inning pitcher. That would tell me he likes to throw 90 to 100 pitches. So right now you can bet Mark Johnson, as you see him right there in the dugout, is thinking, is this guy losing it? But one thing that they said about him was that when he had trouble, he was wild high. So far tonight, his trouble has been down.
Heater that time. Playing Pettit, and he's down for the 3rd straight time on strikes.
Well, this is just wild enough to be effective here. He just went right up the ladder with him. The pitch looked good in his eyes, and he just couldn't get to that ball.
And that was the point Jim Lawler made to us last night about Langston, was that he's just wild enough to be that much more effective in certain outings.
Well, he certainly did. If he throws that ball down in the strike zone, pitch after pitch after pitch, and all of a sudden he throws one up there around your chest, it looks good and it's tough to lay off that pitch.
Dave Tollison now, the right fielder. Sophomore out of Cooper High School in Abilene, Texas, stands in, taking a strike. It's 0-1. His batting average has been below 300 just one time this year. He's a very streaky hitter. The crowd reacting to that pitch called outside, and it's 1-1. There are the numbers on Butcher: 6 steals and only 7 attempts. And if you're curious as to why he only has that many attempts, well, he's been in and out of the lineup a great deal. Not a starter for the bulk of the campaign. They've used Shannon Dorsey in his position from time to time, and Bryant at times has been an outfielder, which has also gotten him out of the lineup.
And although he has great speed, Gus says he really doesn't know how to get a jump. So he doesn't have the green light, and Gus tries to pick pitches for him. But in a situation like this, 2 runs down, he won't be running himself out of an inning. But he does have base-stealing type speed. He just has to learn those instincts that we talked about, learn to get a jump in reading pitchers.
The 1-2. Foul down the first base side, out of play. Well, the good news for both coaches tonight is not a lot of activity in the bullpen. And after 9 pitchers being used, 6 by A&M and 3 by Texas earlier this afternoon, that was a blessing. Langston's numbers, 100 pitches now, and good strike-to-ball ratio.
And a lot of those balls have just missed. He's been around the plate all night. After that first inning, after he's settled in and gotten his rhythm, he's done exactly what they've wanted him to do out there. He's been in command of this ball game.
Tollison serves that one into right center. Look at Thompson get over there in a hurry. That is not uncommon. Not even close to spectacular. He has a lot of giddy up out there, and right now, the Aggies have eased out to a 2-run lead. We're headed to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Albright, Duke, and Easley on the way.
I want you to look at Kirk Thompson. We'll look at Kirk Thompson right here with the jump he gets on this ball. He is a big-time center fielder. That ball's hit, and he's running before we even see it in the frame there, and he gets to this ball, and he starts coasting. Had a little funny angle on it, but that boy is a big-time center fielder. He gets as good a jump on the ball as I've seen in the 4 or 5 games that I've been at.
They'll give him a 9.9 out there. That's the judge and the jury here in College Station. Brian Dare, left-hander, in relief of Rodney Pedraza, with a job well done so far tonight. Eric Albright, the hitter, taking a strike on the outside corner to even it at 1-1. He grounded out and struck out his first 2 times. And it's served into right for a base hit. Scott Bryant slips down. Nice save by Bryant to keep that one in front of him, because he hit the turf. That one could have rolled all the way to the wall. And another base hit for the Aggies, their 6th of the game, the first one for Albright.
Well, he comes in after that ball and plants real hard, and his feet just slips out from under him there, just because he was trying to get there in a hurry to stop that runner from getting to second base if he wanted to try it.
He's talked a great deal, Bryant, about not playing enough in the outfield. He's a designated hitter in many, many games, and he really feels a lot more active when he's out there playing, and he's seen some time also at first base. And that'll be a question mark on him once he's drafted and gets some playing time in the minor leagues. Where would you put him? Would you put him in the outfield? First base has been a problem. He's had problems digging the ball out over there, and he's a power hitter. You'd like to have him in the lineup somewhere. Andy Duke up for Texas A&M.
Well, I've always believed, Tim, that if you're willing to work, you can improve yourself, whether it's being an outfielder or first baseman or whatever. And I think that if they just get somebody and draft him the way he can swing the bat and get someone to work with him day in and day out, he can improve enough to be a position player. If he's willing to work. I don't know him, but they say that he's a hard-nosed kid. And anytime somebody's that good a hitter, he has to work at it. So I don't see any reason why he can't work at his fielding the same way.
Dare continues to check Albright.
A lot of times when you're such a good hitter, all you want to do is hit, and you kind of lay that glove to the side.
Well, he wouldn't be the first player coming out of college that there were question marks on in his fielding ability. Pete Incaviglia is doing well, thank you, with the Rangers, and there were a lot of question marks about his abilities as an outfielder when he played at Oklahoma State. That one's bunted foul. Game summary in College Station. The Aggies leading at 3-1. Langston with 5 innings work, only giving up 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. Quietly getting a job done. Thompson with 2 hits, pair of stolen bases and 2 runs. Lowry with 2 hits and a run scored for the Horns. And they're down 3-1 here in the 7th inning. The bottom of the 6th inning, I should say. Two the count. Albright the runner at first. Right center field, Bryant positioned nicely and quickly getting back to first is Albright. But good aluminum in that case. Going right with the pitch to right field, Andy Duke.
Well, he got that ball up in the strike zone, and that's what happens when you're a left-hander. You don't have that good velocity, and when you get the ball up in the strike zone, you're going to get hit hard. But that's the way you must hit Brian Dare. You must take take the outside part of that plate away from him and drive the ball to right field, because you're not going to hit him if you try to pull the ball. You hit those weak ground balls to short and off the end of your bat to second.
Mike Easley steps up. Left-hand hitter. First baseman throws with his right hand. And as we spoke with Mark Johnson about his personnel last night, he really was pleased with Mike Easley. He said if there's a player that has manufactured himself into a fine college player, it's this youngster. And that one's blocked and down in the dirt again. Toledo digging it.
He really did, Tim. You know, he was elected the team captain by his teammates, and when you have as much talent as this team has, that tells you something, because he certainly is not the most talented player on this ball club, but they really respect him for his makeup and the way he goes out and gets everything out of his ability.
He may not have a great move, Ray, but Mark Johnson would love to see his guys get bigger leads. He just gave that widen sign again to Albright over there.
Well, usually when he does that, he wants him to take a one-way lead. He wants him to get off that bag as far as he can and then go back to first. See, well, like he did there. We didn't have an oscillation on that, but he wants him to get off of that bag as far as he possibly can to make him throw over there and dive back. So as a result, you see a lot of these base runners making their first step back to the bag. It's called a one-way lead.
Left-handers always more difficult for base runners to read, as a rule. The great ones, though, the great base stealers, many of them would tell you just the opposite, that they prefer stealing off left-handers because they can see the movement of the hands and the legs. Runners going. Albright is there. The throw is a bit high from Toledo as well. But again, the off-speed pitch comes in handy.
Well, Tim, you're exactly right what you said before. The only thing, when you're a true bona fide base runner, you study pitchers so well that you know when he breaks his hands. Right here, he's just going on the first move again, and he's taking off, and he delivers at home. He gets a great jump. There's no way to throw him out. He stole that right there on the pitcher. But that's the thing about a left-hander. When you talk to Joe Morgan or the great base stealers, Willie Wilson, they find a flaw in that left-hander's delivery, and as soon as they see it, they're gone, and you can't throw them out.
The 3-1 to Easley. Down in the dirt again. And that will get third base busy with Albright over there. And the walk is issued to Easley.
And a point to make right here is this is another ball in the dirt, and he's having a lot of trouble blocking that ball. He tries to keep the ball in front of him, but we don't have, in a situation, the runners at third base, but what happens is Prather's their number one catcher. In a situation where you're pitching to another guy that hasn't been back there, it's a different situation. He calls a different game. The pitcher doesn't feel as comfortable with him. Prather is known for his ability to handle pitchers and known for his ability to throw out pitchers. And I think that's what's created a little bit of the havoc here, because they're running now, even though this guy has a decent move, they're just taking off.
It's a strike call to Travis Williams. He has a hit tonight, and it's 0-1. One out with runners at third and first. We're in the bottom of the sixth inning. Texas A&M threatening to extend its lead. It's already 3-1. Came in with a hard curve that time.
And Tim, that's not to knock Eddie Toledo. The fact is he hasn't caught a lot, and when you're not back there, you're not going to be real sharp. And it's certainly not to knock him. It's the fact that because of the makeup of this ball club, they're switching around a lot of players, and he just hasn't been back there much.
There's the steal. They caught him napping. Albright scores. And around the third, the Aggies have Easley, and they throw him out. And Mark Johnson will have a rhubarb here.
Boy, that took him by surprise.
Well, that's a great play right there, Tim. That's a heads-up play by Mark Johnson. He saw something right there in the pitcher. He thought the pitcher wasn't paying attention. He has his back, obviously, to third base, and he's just napping a little bit. He's got a guy with a little bit of speed, and he says, go. The guy takes off, and it's that sudden jerk or surprise, and he fires the ball home. Here's the play at third base. Looks like to me he's safe. He stayed on the bag. If he stayed on the bag, he was safe.
And they got their man at home plate. Travis Williams goes down on strikes. Wayne Holbrook, I think, may have had the proper call because Easley's hand came off third base. And it was the second tag that, in fact, was the out, as called by Eric Albright. Catches Dare napping here on the plate, coming off the rubber, stealing home. And then the trouble begins, Ray.
Well, what happens right there, Dare, the runner on first base makes a quick little break, and Dare stops, and then the runner at third base goes home. It's a set play. As soon as that runner at first makes a move, the runner at third breaks. Naturally, the pitcher looks at the runner at first base, then the guy at home scores. Here's a play at third base on the throwback. He tags him, and I don't think he came off the bag there. The only reason I don't think he did is because normally, if you come off the bag, your natural reaction is to reach back for it, and I didn't see him reach back for that bag.
Brett Newkirk steps up for the Longhorns. In summation, Texas A&M steals a run, and it could be a big run in the sixth to make it a 4-1 game. And Newkirk drills that one to third. Byington over. Dog by Easley. And we're back to the Olympics here. 9-9, 9-5, 9-8, 9-8. 9-9. What a stand by Byington.
This is a great play by Byington. I've seen him make 4 plays just like this. Come up, make a good strong throw. The thing about it, even though that ball bounced, he had good overspin on it. It was right on line with the first base. He's made 4 diving plays like that in the 3 games I've seen.
Drive into the gap into right center by Bethea. That one will go all the way to the wall. And Bethea rounds second and will be held. Getting around on Langston as we open this inning. Newkirk drilled one down the line short of a fine play. Gustafson would already have a run in. Byington made that great play over at third base.
Right here, what happens on that play before the runner on first base makes a fake. He feints like he falls down. Watch him right here. He makes a feint like he falls down. That's a set play. Now the pitcher backs off the rubber, looks at him. His attention is diverted. The runner goes home just in time to score.
Oh, good work, guys, in the truck picking that up.
That was
Easley,
great.
yeah, Easley falling down. A little Ron Frazier ball coming that time. The Miami coach who's had the hidden ball trick in his past, and that time Mark Johnson pulled something out from his bag of tricks as Easley went down to the turf, and you could see easily that Dare had pulled off the rubber and was headed to first before he went home, and that's when Albright got in, having stolen home plate. That ball's up in the strike zone to Ed Toledo, and the count is 1-1.
I first saw that play in American Legion, and then when I was with the Cincinnati Reds, we had a delay still for guys that didn't run like me, but we also had that play, and it was you feinted like you fell down, and it's just natural for that pitcher to react.
Some of the best plays in baseball have been authored in American Legion ball, Babe Ruth leagues throughout the country, and they're used over and over again. And you had the game at Wichita State. Look, now that is wanting to see a college baseball game. Obviously, that alum owns a construction company and loves to go to the game. The 2-1 coming to Toledo. Be interesting to see how much longer Langston is hang in there. He's thrown better than 110 pitches at our last count. He had at least a 2-to-1 strike ball ratio, but was up above 100 an inning ago. And they've gotten around on him pretty well. A stinger that was stabbed by Byington off the bat of Craig Newton. And Bethea taking him to the wall in right center, and he's aboard at second base with 1 out in the 7th. Struck him out.
I'll tell you what, I still like the way he's throwing the ball. They say his bread and butter's on high fastball when he gets ahead of the hitters, and he's still throwing it up there with enough velocity that these guys aren't getting a bad hit on it. Here he is. He goes to his bread and butter, got a high fastball, and he can't get to it. So until somebody starts hitting that high fastball, Tim, I'm I'm going to take my chances that he's still got enough good stuff out there to get him through this game. Or at least through this next inning or so.
Lance Jones, the leadoff hitter, takes the ball low. That's 110 right there. Wayne Holbrook says he did not go around over at third base as they check the third base side. Eric Albright asking for help behind the plate for Texas A&M.
Well, Jim Lawler said he throws 80% fastballs, and that was hard for me to believe. I didn't know anybody did that anymore, but he's shown that tonight. He's only thrown that breaking ball maybe 10, 12, 15% of the time. He just keeps pounding that fastball, locating it well.
One and one the count. 4-1 our score. Texas A&M leading Texas. We have 2 out in the top half of the 7th inning. Keith Langston with a sterling performance tonight here in College Station's Olson Field. That's a base hit to right. Andy Duke comes up with it. Here comes the throw for Bethea. Up the line, he's saved. And Jones will head for second. And the throw, not in time. Good work, though, by Langston. Backing up his man, taking the ricochet off of Albright as he was trying to make the tag on Bethea. He very nearly had to play at second and nailed Jones over there.
Well, they say Andy Duke has the best arm on the squad. He comes in and charges that ball real well, makes a good throw up the line. It's right there. But as you see right there, Albright takes his eye off the ball a little bit to look at the runner, and as a result, he misses the ball. Johnny Bench was by far the best I'd ever seen at that because he was a one-handed catcher. He whites that ball just like a first baseman into his mitt and tagged that runner sweeping going by. And right there, Albright took his eye a little bit off the ball, which is not very hard to do with that 210-pound guys barreling on top of him.
Langston did a good job of going up the line with his catcher and backing up the throw that time because that was easily halfway up the third base side. He could have very easily been behind home and not moved with his catcher and that throw, and that gave him a chance to get Jones over at second.
Well, he tries to get the best angle he can from that right field throw, so if the ball is ricocheted, he has a chance to get it before it gets into that dugout.
So a run is in for Texas. Our score is 4-2. Jones with a single and an RBI, moving up to second on the throw. Lowry, 2 for 3, has scored a run tonight as well.
Tim, if he has any more trouble here, that pitch was fastball down and he hit the ball real hard. Jones did. I expect something's going to start happening here with Mark Johnson if he doesn't get this guy out.
Pat Sweet busy down there. He saw some activity. Steve Hughes also warming up, number 21, the right-hander. He's got a forkball in his repertoire. We may be seeing him. Scott Centella also warming up, and he's the ace of the staff, both right-handers, number 12 and 21 respectively, warming up for Texas A&M.
All 3 of those guys. He also said he'd use Sweet, Centella, and Hughes, and all of them are down there getting loose, soft tossing just to get that blood flowing a little bit.
A lazy pop-up into short left center. Thompson's over to make the grab, but the Horns get a run and may be finding their way and getting at Keith Langston. We're headed to the bottom of the 7th with Newman, Thompson, and Taylor on the way.
Andy Duke fills this ball here. He gets down to make sure it doesn't get by him because it has nothing to do with the game, but he fills this ball here, sets himself real strong throwing arm, comes up, 2-hop throw home, straight over the top. Albright gets there and takes his eye off the ball a little bit, but look at this pitcher. He is back there deep, Tim. He's back and he runs real hard and gets that ball. That's a good play right there. You're exactly right. I thought that he was a little too tight, but he almost recovers enough to throw him out at second base.
He's back at the screen and he sees the throw and goes up the line with his catcher. A breaking ball is down low to Jim Newman, the left fielder, senior, 2-year letterman out of Bishop Lynch and Dallas, Texas. Flied out and grounded out in his 2 at-bats tonight.
Well, Jim Newman is brother-in-law of Danny Heap, who is a former teammate of mine and now plays with the Dodgers. He was on that 86 World Championship team with the Mets.
Breaking ball, chopped to short, handled by Bethea. And there's one down. Danny Heap spent some time with the Houston Astros. And, of course, the Mets now playing with the Dodgers, as you mentioned. Good fluid swing on the left side there.
Defay charges this ball. I don't know why. He looks away a little bit there. I never liked that from an infielder. When you catch that ball, you look right at the first baseman because that's the place you're going to throw it. Sometimes you see guys catch that ball and look away a little bit. I never know what they're looking at, but you need to look that guy right now at first base and try to hit him there.
Kurt Thompson is hitting with a tar at bat, and he has another hit. That's 3 tonight. 8 in the series. He's going for 2 and is in safely.
I like that little player. He does so many things well. As you said, he's a table setter. He's a slap hitter. He just makes contact. He's the ideal leadoff hitter. He walks a lot, makes good contact. Right here, what happens here, he's so far off the line with that left-handed hitter, even though Kurt Thompson hits a lot of balls that way, that ball wasn't hit hard, but I've been caught in that situation many times because you overplay a left-handed hitter a little bit toward the hole in shortstop, and then anything hit down the line is a base hit.
Craig Newkirk is a fine third baseman, knows the scouting report well. You have to give yourself as much room as possible on the little choppers that are up the line. He can beat out so many infield hits. Taylor swings and gets it to the right side, moving Thompson over to third, and they're 2 down.
Well, you called it, Tim. What happened right there in that situation, he was just on the grass. His angle was so sharp that he couldn't get back there to that ball.
And Kurt Thompson had a 26-game hitting streak at one point this year and was shut down by Rice's Rob Howard. He's one of the real fine pitchers in college baseball. And then since that time, he's been on base in every game. So he has done the job. Knobloch steps in.
Well, although Knobloch had a sacrifice by his last at bat, he has not had a hit this series. And I came here expecting him to just kill the ball, although he's hit 2 balls real hard to right field. We talked about him being a prospect, and what they say about this guy, he can hit, run, field, hit with power, and throw. That about covers everything.
Yeah, a scout's dream. He's actually living out a dream for his father as well. His dad, Ray Knobloch, is a fine high school coach. In fact, Chuck played for him at Houston's Bel Air High School. He's one of 6 children, and I know Ray is very, very pleased with the progress his son has made. Swings and misses there, and it's 0-2. In fact, his dad, Ray, played at one time in the Texas League, so it's in the family. At a time when Texas League baseball meant a great deal.
Well, I know what my mom and father feel. I have a little boy that's 9, and there's not anything in the world like watching your children perform.
There's a curveball, actually a slider, just missing inside. And the numbers on Dare, boy, 64 pitches. And he pitched in the first game, as we mentioned, in the 9th inning. And put that together with the first game, he's up around 80 pitches right now on the day. Knobloch gets it up in the air to Bryant and right. And the Aggies are gone in the 7th. Nothing across. Thompson with another double. Texas A&M 4. Texas 2. We're through 7. Headed to 8 with Bryant. Aaron Gustafson, one of the assistant coaches there. You see Clint Thomas and the rest of the Texas crew about ready to put the rally caps on. Turn those white caps with the orange bill around inside out and get something going. Well, Craig Newkirk, you see the left-hand side of your screen already has it going. Texas A&M and Texas underway. Special game for the people here in the Lone Star State. All-time RBI leaders, and there's Scott Bryant, who is well on his way to perhaps breaking David Denny's mark of 99. Scott Coolbaugh, a name we all remember, who made it to the World Series a few times, and Jamie Dowdy in '84 with 78. And Scott Bryant shut down tonight. Not so last night. He had a tremendous game, 3 for 4 in game number 1. And the Longhorn fans that made their way down 145 miles from Austin into College Station looking for a rally with the middle of the order up for the Longhorns. And Bryant certainly do.
I want to see if Scott Bryant makes an adjustment. They talk about him being good hitters. Good hitters make adjustments. And the only thing that has gotten him into trouble the last 2 games is he's swung at the pitcher's pitches. He likes the ball out over the plate. We've said so many times before. but you just can't swing at anything. You've got to be selective up there. 2-0, you must not swing at a pitch unless it's right where you want it.
Takes a strike on the outside corner.
Especially down 2 runs. Tying runs on deck circle. Even if he hits the ball out of the ballpark, it's a 4-3 ball game. We're looking for base runners right here if you're Texas fans. Not we, but if you're looking for...
Just missing outside, and it's 3-1.
Well, Tim, all the good hitters, all the outstanding 300 hitters year after year after year have a great idea at the plate. They know what their strengths are. They don't swing at bad pitches. They don't even swing at borderline pitches. That's why after a while, Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, those guys get those close pitches. They just will not pull that trigger unless it's a pitch they can drive until they get 2 strikes.
Langston would not give him anything that time. And he is aboard. A runner at first, and that brings the tying run to the plate. A potential tying run in the form of Arthur Butcher, who admittedly is a streaky hitter, the kind of guy that can look awfully good on one pitch, awfully bad on another, but yet has been swinging a hot stick in this series. And there you see the activity in the A&M bullpen.
Well, that's the first sign to me right there of Langston getting a little tired. You don't walk anybody. Scott Santella and Pat Sweet, the left-hander Pat Sweet, right-hander Scott Santella, their stopper. You don't walk anyone, Scott Brown or anyone else, to put the time run at the plate. You go get that guy because that third run means nothing.
Soft breaking ball, just missing inside. And you can tell that Langston is trying to nip at the corners, and he's coming up shy. And this may not be the time to be that cute with a guy like Butcher up there.
I don't think he's trying to be cute. I think that he's just, his arm's getting a little tired. He's losing that snap and that breaking ball. He hasn't thrown very many. That's another indication. He threw a breaking ball there.
And the heater is still there. 1-1.
Well, I don't ever think you really lose that much velocity on that heater. Your arm gets tired. You still throw it with pretty much the same velocity, but you lose that feel for it. As those arm muscles tighten up, you start to lose control of it. The ball sells on you, sinks on you, and your hand gets tired. You can't make that breaking ball rotate as well as early in the game.
Given that, and he's been out of the strike zone with his curveball the last couple of times, he's thrown 2 straight fastballs. This could be a telling pitch as to just where he is, because he's been able to get the fastball over and, in fact, overpower some of the Longhorn hitters. Well, even now, but the breaking ball, if it's not there, not getting over, it could hurt him. Let's see what happens here.
Butcher's a type of hitter that would be good for him because he's not real selective. He swings a lot of pitches off the plate.
Stayed with the fastball, didn't he? Fouled away. 1-2 to count. Nick DeVincentis is on deck, left-hand hitter that will be a pinch hitter when Butcher is done. DeVincentis also has good power, and he has shared some time, as we mentioned. Dorsey has seen some time in the outfield, DeVincentis as well. That may force in Pat Sweet, the left-hand pitcher that's warming up, and there's a little pop-up into shallow left field. Jimmy Newman is over to make the grab. And there's one gone. Southwest Conference titles, the Longhorns with 61, A&M with 13. The Horned Frogs have 6. So Texas and Texas A&M have won or shared all but one title since 34. And remember this, Norm DeBryant's Arkansas teams have made it to College World Series play. They had great hitters. Remember Randy Bobb and the job he did for the folks from Fayetteville, and they have never won an outright title. And interestingly, if Arkansas, Ray, comes up with the Southwest Conference title this year, they would have a clean sweep. They won in football under Coach Ken Hatfield. They won in basketball under Roland Nolan, and they could win in baseball. Texas A&M leading Texas by a score of 4-2, and we are now in the 8th inning, top half with one gone. And DeVincentis, the pinch hitter here.
Well, Gus realized real quickly that Pettit wasn't a good matchup for Keith Langston. He had struck out. He was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, so he wanted somebody in there that may have a better chance. Or at least matches up better.
Swinging from that left side as well, Bryant. You figure, well, if he's tiring, if there's an opportunity to make a move, force Sweet into the game. But it doesn't appear that the right-hander Langston is going to get out of there. He's come forth with some real good pitches at crucial times in this inning.
He has. He's done a lot more than they expected. I don't think that they expected him to go more. In fact, they told me that if he went 5 innings and he got through their lineup without being pretty much unscathed, that they would go directly to the bullpen. And he's impressing them enough. Obviously, he's talking and relating to the coaches and says, hey, I feel fine. And they like what they see out there, so they're sticking with him.
Steven Census has made a long trip in from Franklinville, New Jersey. Senior, hitting 194. Had a bad ankle that caused him some problems in the fall. And that stymied his progress here in the spring. But as we mentioned, he's had a few at-bats, most of those coming early in the season, at a time when Texas was really struggling offensively. The Longhorn team is a team that has just enough to get to the postseason and get the job done. The Rally Caps, authored by Bill Bates in the early 1980s, a time when Texas won a College World Series with Calvin Schiraldi and Roger Clemens on the hill. But this is a team that has good enough pitching, good enough hitting with a guy like Bryant that they can beat you, no matter how potent you are offensively and defensively as the opposition.
There's no question about it, especially when you have a stopper like Durkendorfer. Beat a lot of people.
Pull the string and even Census goes down. Oh, welcome to the game, Nick. Keith Langston gunned him down. They're playing the rifleman, and he did gun him down with that pitch, pulling the string beautifully.
Langston goes to that seldom-used breaking ball and takes a little bit more off of it, but there's a pretty good bite on that ball right there. It's a tough pitch for a left-handed hitter. He gives up on that ball away. He thinks it's outside, and the last minute that ball bites back to the outside part of the play. That's a very good pitch right there.
Scott Bryant is still aboard over at first base, being held by Mike Easley. And the pitch is up high for a ball. To Dave Tolleson, 0 for 3, flied out twice and grounded out. Playing first base tonight, has been in right field most of this series and most of this season. Actually spent a little time over at the corner as well at third base. They move him around. In fact, Tolleson's played third, left, right, center. That one is sawed off into center for a base hit. Got it in on the fist, and that really is an example of the aluminum bat single. Get that ball inside, and they can, with the added bat speed and the lighter weight, sometimes they can serve it out into the outfield, and he did so that time.
Tim, there's no question about that. I know that there's a lot to say about the aluminum bats and with the expense and everything, but there's a major adjustment when you get in the big leagues because there's just no comparison. You get hit like that with a wooden bat, and it'll give you that big bone bruise back there on your thumb.
And Jim Lawler coming out to the mound now. Texas A&M pitching coach, and one time a head coach at Texas El Paso. He's in charge of recruiting for the Aggies as well. He was a graduate assistant at Arizona under Jerry Kendall when Mark Johnson was an assistant to Kendall, and after he moved on to Gonzaga, he said, all right, I'd love to have you, and he picked him up from UTEP. There's Centella and Sweet, the left-hander, number 26, and Centella, man with the great breaking ball, the right-hander. Mark Johnson loading up with a little Don Zimmer chew.
Well, this surprises me right here. They're trying to get this kid, I can tell you what they're trying to do. They're trying to get this kid to believe that he can go 7, 8, 9 strong innings. They have him labeled as a 5, 6 inning pitcher. They've got Centella down there ready. They got Sweet ready. Crucial situation, game on the line right here. They're sticking with this young man, and they're showing all the confidence in the world. They say, go get him, buddy.
John Hickey moving the outfield around. And Craig Newkirk steps up. Popped into foul ground, easily over, makes the basket catch. The Horns are done in the 8th. Easily had a distance to go here, but he hauled it in. And the Aggies are ready to haul in win number 2 on this Sunday. They're an inning and a half away. Jim Lawler, number 19, the pitching coach, has had a very active minute or so here between innings. He went down to talk with his pitchers that were in the pen to ask if they were ready. Both Scott Centella and Pat Sweet had said, yes, we're ready. Their jackets are on, and they're in the dugout. And the Longhorns will have 3 of the 4 batters up next inning in the 8th, or the 9th, their last chance. 3 out of 4 will be left-hand hitters. So we could see some of Pat Sweet, or perhaps the stopper Scott Centella. And starting the bottom half of the 8th inning, John Byington fouling one away. It's 1-1.
The thing that impresses me about John Byington, you talk about Durfendorfer, he hit 2 home runs off of one late in the game the night before last, or yesterday, and then one today, the grand slam. If he can hit him, he can hit anybody, so that shows he has an extremely quick bat.
Well, you have to be impressed with the pitching job done by Brian Dare tonight. Langston certainly is the storyline to this game because we only expected 5, but Dare, since coming in, has gotten it done for Cliff Gustafson's club at a time when, frankly, he had run out of pitchers. Dressendorfer, he couldn't go to him in this game tonight after having pitched last night better than 130 pitches and coming in to try to get Byington out in the 9th today. He really needed this kind of performance from Brian Dare. Curveball, and Byington sits on it and gets it out to left. Mark Johnson fashions his team really as an offensive team. He teaches the short stroke, the short stride. Byington is a great example of that.
Well, this whole team, like you said, has the same approach. They're pretty much upright hitters. He teaches keep your weight back on the backside, weight on the balls of your feet, and stride real short, which keeps your head still. If your head's still, it makes you compact and keeps out those eyes from jumping, and he teaches all of his hitters to do that. Byington is a great hitter. He's not a good hitter. He's a great hitter.
Eric Albright up at the plate with Byington aboard, and the Longhorns will have to keep him honest with a 4-2 game. They know that Langston is tired, and they may force either Centella or Sweet to the mound in the next inning. They'd love to keep it close here as the A&M looks for insurance. You made the point last night, Ray, in watching the game that most of Texas A&M's hitters look similar. They approach the game the same way, and I don't know if that's a rally cap or a let's get insurance cap.
Half rally. He won a half rally.
Cockeyed cap, right? 0-1 the count.
Well, they do work real hard on their hitting. He says they have 4 or 5 phases they go through, from soft toss, which is an underhand toss, to hitting on the tee, to another overhand toss from about 30 or 40 feet. So
runners moving, and Byington's there. He could have almost been in there standing up.
So they really work hard on their hitting, but you know what this tells me right here? They just don't think Eddie Toledo can throw them out. And as we said before, Dare has an average move, and they're reading something on him. All they're doing, he hasn't thrown the first but 2 or 3 times. I think they've shortened up their lead, and on that first move they're taking off, and Eddie Toledo just hasn't got enough arm to throw him out.
And again, a reminder, John Prather, the normal catcher, sitting out this game. He's been plagued with mononucleosis this season. As a matter of fact, Prather had the mono during the Miami series, and Jim Cott and I, when we were calling the game, were concerned because Prather did not appear to be the same usual force behind the plate as he is normally, and it turns out he was down with an acute case of mononucleosis and out of the lineup for 3 weeks, and that's when Toledo got most of his time behind the plate.
I like the way Eric Albright approached that ball there. He tried to hit that ball to right field to get that runner over. He tried to do the same thing right there and fouled it off. That's just total team concept. Sometimes you can go out and score 5, 6 runs on home runs, but when you manufacture those late inning runs, that's what wins you ball games, and that's what he's trying to do right now. Even with 2 strikes, he's still trying to hit that ball to the right side. Somehow getting that runner over to third base with less than 2 outs.
They're 2 out now with Byington aboard at second, and time is called. Albright gets out of the box. John Byington, avid card collector, even claims he has one of Cotton 62. He's on at second base. Just missing outside. 2-2.
So you can take that pitch right there when you're looking to hit the ball to right field. He's looking away. He knows his best pitch is that dead fish fastball away, and he's really zeroed in on that outside part of the plate. If he busts him inside right here pretty hard, I don't believe he's going to do much with this ball.
Oh, he was totally fooled there, and down on strike. I beg your pardon, I may have said there were 2 outs a moment ago. I meant to say there were none gone. There's 1 out now, though.
Well, he threw a fastball away, then breaking ball, then took a little bit more off that breaking ball, and he reacts because he wanted. The reason he reacted right there was not so much because he struck out, but because he was made up in his mind. He wanted to get that run into third base. So now he's not so sad that he makes an out, but he let everybody down over there on that bench because he didn't get that runner over there.
Time called now. Cliff Gustafson wants to come out and talk to Brian Dare with Andy Duke coming to the plate. There is some activity in the Texas bullpen. The bullpen is located in a line of sight. That's Shane Reynolds, the right-hander, who could not record an out today. He threw to 4 batters, gave up 4 hits, and what was a 7-run first inning for the Aggies. Consider this, they had 7 runs in the first and 9 in the ninth, and yet had to come from behind to win the game in the ninth today, winning 18-14.
That was maybe, or at least one of the strangest ball games I've ever seen.
4 hours and 10 minutes it took. Coming up next on ESPN Sports Center with a look at the Texas Rangers. Boy, what a start they're off to, winning their 8th today in a row. A conversation with Bill Walsh and the plays of the week. All of that coming up with Sports Center. Curveball in and over for a strike. 0-1 to count. Well, that trade between the Rangers and Cubs really working out for both clubs.
It's certainly panned out thus far, Tim.
Mitch Williams with 4 saves already for the Cubbies. Job well done by Jamie Moyer on the hill and Rafael Palmeiro offensively. That pitch is swung on and missed by Duke, and the count quickly out to 0-2.
Well, having a team that blends is so important. You can have great talent, but if you don't have blend, you're just not going to win. Sometimes you can trade players with comparable talent, and for some reason they mesh with another ball club and everything clicks. If you look at the makeup of that trade, they traded good ball players for good ball players, and now they're with other clubs and they're meshing real well. They just fit the puzzle.
Andy Duke trying to fit in an RBI to give his club a 3-run lead here. Rifled right to the shortstop, and Bethea makes the grab, and there are 2 down now, folks, believe me.
I always had a saying, Tim, that if you had great talent and great blend and great cohesiveness, nobody could touch you. If you had great talent and no blend, then you're not going to win. You can have decent talent and good blend and still win. That's what the Dodgers used to do. The Cardinals did. The Dodgers did that last year. They didn't have great talent, but they just had a good blend and a manager that believed in themselves, and they won.
Texas A&M is a team that at the collegiate level has that kind of blend. As a matter of fact, in the fall season, Ray, they had a brawl out here, and Knobloch mentioned it to me. So we had a fight. I mean, we separated, went to 2 different teams. We had a maroon team and a white team. We played against each other so long, we got a little intense, had a brawl, and then we knew we were a together group as we headed into the spring. Many times that happens to teams that are about to meet with destiny. And the Aggies had that destiny in a 40-1 mark coming into this series.
Well, that tells me they're pretty intense. If they're going to fight each other, they're pretty intense. And you can make up for a lot of things with intensity, I guarantee you.
Well, you grow closer many times when that occurs, particularly when you're with one another, as long as these guys are, through the fall season, in the spring, and many of them go off to Cape Cod during the summer and play. in the summer leagues. Soft curve in and over for a strike. 2-1. The Aggies with a lot of different caps and a lot of different styles, trying to hold on and win 2 out of 3 in this series.
Well, that's the thing I miss most, Tim, is the camaraderie and the closeness that you develop with ball players. That was why it's so tough about being traded.
Old chopper to second, in the hole and through. Byington comes in. And the Aggies get their insurance run.
That Terry Taylor could hit. He can just flat out hit.
Mike Easley serves that one into center. And it's 5-2 in the bottom of the 8th.
There's the ground ball going through, and he makes a play for that ball. But what you have to do in that situation right there with 2 outs, you must knock the ball down. You've got to knock the ball down. You can't go and reach for that ball. If you knock the ball down, you keep the run from scoring. I believe that he was close enough to that ball to knock it down.
David Lowry trying to put a glove on it, but could not. It's 5-2 with 2 down. And there goes Easley. Well, you're right. They just do not respect Toledo. And again, the breaking ball against the left-hander, in fairness to Ed, many times he's had to try for the throw off an off-speed pitch. And that's no contest.
Well, in the big leagues, you always feel on the pitcher. Most catchers up there can throw you out. They've got quick releases and strong arms and are accurate. I haven't seen enough college ball yet to know. It seems like to me that he is real slow with his delivery home. He hasn't thrown to first base. I haven't seen him make a throw over there even close of picking somebody off. So now they're just taking the liberty of just taking off in that first move, and they're beating it easily. Especially when a guy throws the ball 80, 81, 78, and that slow breaking ball at 70, they've got a lot of time to get down to second base.
And by the way, Shane Reynolds no longer throwing down in the Texas bullpen. He was up a few moments ago, but he's back down now in the bullpen. And Travis Williams at the plate.
Tim, I'd just like to talk about that ground ball. Being an infielder, and in a situation with a runner on second base and 2 outs, you've got one thing to do, and that's to keep the ball in the infield.
Hit the deck.
And I don't think you've made a good effort unless you put that nose in the dirt. You've got to get dirty in this game. You've got to play hard. You've got to be a smart baseball player and look at all these situations and know what your job is. As an infielder, you're playing back deep. Guy doesn't run real well in Terry Taylor. You're trying to knock the ball down to keep it in infield and save that run.
Easily aboard at second. 100 stolen bases for the Aggies, and they've been perfect in this series against the Longhorns. They come up with another run in the 8th.
They're on their feet in Aggieland, smelling their second win in 3 tries against the Longhorns. Buffet, Toledo insists college baseball, but perhaps even more importantly, this is College Station, and Texas A&M is special in many ways. They lead 5-2 over the Longhorns, and the crowd is singing the A&M fight song. And if the score is 5-2 Aggies, they're up. If the score is 14-1 Texas, these fans are still standing, cheering as one. They have yell leaders here, not cheerleaders, yell leaders, and the fans go to yell practice. And they do it for baseball, and they even bring in the camera guys. Gino. Steve Buffet due for 3 coming up to the plate to lead off. That's Kim Elston, our cameraman, a part of that on the third base side. And the pitch is outside for a ball.
So if Langston right here has any trouble, he's out of there. I don't think that he'll go past one man. We're trying to let him go this whole game, get a complete game, but if he gets in any trouble, he's going to be gone. Probably forcing talent.
Buffet with a double to the wall in his last at-bat against Langston. And again, Centella and Sweet are up, and we mentioned last inning that Jim Lawler went down and talked with his pitchers, and they are up and going again in the bullpen for Texas A&M. And remember, counting this batter, 3 out of the 4 that are up this inning for Texas swing from the left side. Steve Buffet is up now. Toledo is next, and then Jones and Lowry both swing from the left side as well. Maybe the real question here is, would you come with Centella, a left-hander, to pitch to a left-hand batter, or your stopper in Centella? Up high for a ball.
Well, Tim, all the people that I've been around, unless you have the luxury of having a left-hander and a right-hander in that bullpen that are stoppers, you go to your stopper. He's been in that situation. Centella was Southwest Conference Relief Pitcher of the Year, MVP in a couple of tournaments. That's the guy you go to.
You saw Jeff Schultz getting a bat in the on-deck circle. He may be batting for Toledo here. And he gives up the walk, does Langston. And that may get Johnson and or Lawler out to the mound in a hurry. Already they've sent the first baseman easily up to talk with his man and give both Centella and Sweet some extra time.
Well, they're conferring over there. They're both talking. I don't know what they're trying to make a decision who to go to, the left-hander or the right-hander, I guess, but they're in deep conversation over there.
There they are, just a step out of the dugout. Lawler with the cap off, now just adjusting it, and he'll go back down and check. They've been looking at the pitches, the number thrown by Langston, and they know he's in the 115 to 120 area, and Jeff Schultz will come to the plate, so that means the next three hitters will swing from the left side. Jeff Schultz has been marred in a hitting slump for the Longhorns. He was really hot. He was inserted into the lineup for Lance Jones as a leadoff hitter during the Miami series and was really the hitting star of that series. Was 19 for 44, but since that time in his last 25 games, 17 for 74, hitting at a 230 clip. So he's been in a slump. Johnson has gone out, and he's going to come with the lefty, it appears. Sweet will come in, the starter in last night's game, in relief of Langston to pitch to Schultz, the left-hand hitter. And the crowd reaction will be a big one for Langston, and a job well done for him when he comes out of the game.
Oh, he pitched a great ball game. He did everything he had to do. He established that fastball early, stayed with it, and just pitched a heck of a ball game. Sweet is the right situation statistically. Strategy-wise, he's the right decision. In college baseball, though, I don't know what you're going to do. I know in pro baseball, you've always got to go with percentages, left-hander against left-hander, but talking earlier to Lawler, he said that Centella would go in there in any situation that meant the ball game. I'm not surprised simply because there's three left-handed hitters up, but I thought Centella would be his guy no matter what.
Pat Sweet is a pitcher that really uses all of the plate. Had a fine performance last night for the bulk of the game. Just ran out of gas, really, and they had to go to Centella, and he gave up the big blow to Newkirk. That may have been in their minds as well.
Well, you put the situation. They said Centella, though, no matter how poorly he pitched last night, he is their main man. Situation very often, and when you put a guy in untested waters, you never know what he's going to do. He is a starter, and he comes in there, and usually a starter will get a feel after an inning or two and get their rhythm. We'll just have to see what he does. But when you're a true reliever, a guy that comes in there in 8th and 9th inning, there's something about you. There's Keith Langston's numbers.
Now, what a performance. He may be our player of the game. He may be our most valuable player tonight if, in fact, Sweet can shut down the Horns the rest of the way. Just a couple of earned runs given up. And more specifically, the innings pitched is the value of his performance, because they only expected 5 out of him, and after what happened today, they really needed more, and he came through for them.
He really did, and big pressure situation against probably one of the biggest ball games of the year, simply because of the situation with Texas, and as often as they've been beaten by them, and we got a guy coming in there knowing that he only has to go 5, but he needs to go 5. Sometimes it's harder to get one out than it is to go 4 or 5 innings, but he did a great job, and I know they're happy. We're going to see what Pat Sweet does here in a situation where he's not really accustomed to it.
71 innings pitched. He's yielded 67 hits, which means Texas should get the bat on the ball here. Runner at first base now for the Longhorns. Nobody out.
Well, they made that point that he has to have good defense behind him because he's going to get hit. He's not going to strike very many people out.
And Kevin Pate is the counter maneuver by Cliff Gustafson. So once Sweet was announced into the game, Kevin Pate, who is a reserve second baseman and a player that, frankly, Cliff Gustafson thought he might play or start in one of these games, steps into the play. Catches the inside corner for a strike. It's 1-1. Our score 5-2. We're in the ninth. Texas A&M leading Texas. I'm Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. The Longhorns and Aggies 1-1 in a 3-game series. Pate with a little chopper. Could be 2. Knobloch throws. The dig not there for Easley. And Pate is aboard at first with 1 out. Both Taylor and Knobloch turn the pivot well normally. This is a team strong up the middle, Ray.
Well, Sweet turns the ball over right there, makes it very tough on right-handers. Taylor makes a good play. I think right there the ball got hung up in Knobloch's glove. He cleared the bag real well, but the ball got hung up in his glove right there.
Lance Jones steps in now.
We haven't said much about Terry Taylor at second base. We've talked about him as a hitter, but he's the best second baseman in the Southwest Conference defensively as well as offensively.
Sweet serves up a strike. Sports Center coming up next. And there's what they'll have for you immediately following our game here. But the Longhorns are down to 2 outs. The crowd will react to almost every pitch the rest of the way. Damon Sweet in relief of Keith Langston, the starter. Win 8 complete innings.
Well, Lance Jones will bunt. In a situation like this, sometimes you want to drop that bunt and try to get that extra runner on base. As a base hit.
Right between short and third. Boy, he went right with the pitch that time, and that will bring the tying run to the plate. So now Sweet on the hill, and remember Centella with that good breaking ball down in the bullpen, warming up for Texas A&M. Mark Johnson moving his defense around accordingly. David Lowry, a switch hitter, and with Sweet on the hill, Lowry will come in and swing from the right side. Pate is at second. Jones is at first for Texas. 1 gone. We're in the ninth. And there are the numbers on Lowry.
Well, they've got their most consistent hitter on the team at the plate, so this is a good matchup. A guy throws strikes and a man that makes a lot of contact.
1-1 the count. They're standing in standing room only College Station.
Laurie is leading the team in hits with 93, and he's only done like 8 games without hits all year, so he's the type of hitter really battling and put that ball in play, and he's the type of guy you want up here right here. Gustafson said that although Bryant was a more powerful hitter, that this guy right here always seemed to get big hits and put the ball in play and hit the ball sharply.
Down the third base line foul. Speaking of Bryant, he is on deck. And should get an opportunity short of a double play ball here. There's Big Scott, leading the nation in RBIs.
Well, Tim, you know, when I talked about before, the thing that surprises me, when you have a Hoss down there in the bullpen, a guy that has great stuff, a good fastball, a hard breaking ball, and he is your stopper, he is your ace out of that bullpen, you go to him. You don't fool around with guys. Sweet may do the job here. He is a quality pitcher, but now you've got 2 right-handed hitters, and he's got his work cut out for him, even though it's 1-2.
Chopper down towards third, and it goes foul. Scott Bryant, should he get up, and in all likelihood he will, 76 runs batted in, and he had 3 hits last night, none in this game. And he knows about that as he approaches the plate this one final time in this 3-game series.
Well, you have to look down that lineup card and see who's coming up, and he knows that he's still got some talent out there, and you can bet Sweet will not face Bryant. There's no way that he'll face Bryant if it means the game.
1-2 the count. Down the right field side, stabbed by Easley, covered by Sweet. And a sweet play by the Aggies infield.
I'm telling you what, that goes to show you right there what Johnson was talking about, Mark Johnson, about Mike Easley doing all the right things. Earlier we saw him get a ball over there to get a runner over to third base. Here he makes a tremendous play. From my viewpoint, I thought the ball was by him. But he dove, totally stretched out, really farther than he could. Look at that momentum carrying his feet back over his head. Comes up, rights himself, makes a perfect throw. That's a game-saving play right there. You've got runners on first and second, run in with Scott up. That was just a tremendous play right there. I can't emphasize how great a play that was.
And now with runners at second and third and first base open, Mark Johnson comes out to the mound, and Centella with that breaking ball will be called upon. Steve Hughes, number 21, is also about to start working in that bullpen, but it will come down to the ace against the big gun for the Horns. And remember, yeah, there's a bag aboard, but you never want to bring the potential winning run to the plate, so you got to figure Bryant could get something to handle, and the crowd responds to the job done by Pat Sweet.
Well, Centella has one thing to do here. He's going to go right at him, power against power.
We'll be back with the late inning drama after this.
I get a hold of you.
And here throws the ball down and away and takes it real hard, large to right field. And this is just a tremendous play right here. Just a great effort. Look at that effort, all out. Just a tremendous play. I can't say enough about that play. Comes up and just makes a perfect throw after righting himself, Tim. That is great. That is a great baseball play, whether you're in college. I'm sitting here.
He made the throw from his knees, and it was right on target. Now, Scott Centella coming in to pitch. And remember, this is a pitcher that is considered the ace, but was hit pretty hard last night. Newkirk hit a grand slam home run against him at a time when Texas A&M really felt they had a chance to come at Kirk Dressendorfer and make a run. He's 4-0. He does have 5 saves. That leads the team in that category, and an ERA of 2.62. And you see, he does not surrender that many hits in innings pitched, almost 2-1 there, and does not walk many batters. His walk-to-strikeout ratio is also a positive point statistically.
Well, they like to have him out there. He was also elected team captain for this year, and he was all Southwestern Conference Relief pitcher by UPI. He holds a school record for 26 pitching appearances last year and had 11 saves. So they want him to be up there in this situation, and this is their best against Texas's best. It's a great matchup, and we'll see what happens.
Pate is at third. Jones is down at second base. Bryant is the tying run potentially. He is at the plate. The crowd will tell you the story the rest of the way. For a ball, 1-1. There are 2 down. We're in the ninth. 5-2, Texas A&M. He waited on the curveball. He sends it to the wall and gone. Scott Bryant to his total the same pitch that was knocked out by Newkirk, a grand slam last night, and the trigger that makes the Longhorn gun shoot had to wait a while, but he made it count and retired at 5.
That son of a great hitter right there. They made a mistake. He hung the breaking ball. As we said before, he likes the ball out over the plate, and he wouldn't pull the ball unless it was a hanging breaking ball. He got just that, a hanging breaking ball right out over the plate, and he just juiced it.
And he sat on it, just as did Newkirk last night. Almost a carbon copy.
Well, he just hangs his ball right there at chest high. There's no way not to hit that ball out of the ballpark. The ball's just hanging right there. A guy that strong, all he's got to do is just...
Can I have that one back, please? Look at that reaction.
Well, he knew he made a terrible pitch. When you hang a breaking ball in that situation to a guy that strong, that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to hit about 400 feet.
Arthur Butcher now with an opportunity to put the Longhorns ahead, and Scott Bryant, he makes that squared circle every time he steps into the batter's box, a mannerism that he's had for some time. Actually picked it up from his mother. He said, I want perfection. Every circle should fit in the perfect square. And that time it was a perfect hit of a hanging curveball over the left field wall to tie the game at 5. Two and one to count now to Arthur Butcher.
Tim, the toughest pitch to hit in baseball is a located fastball. When you start throwing breaking balls, that increases the bat speed, and the bat gets out front, and the ball just jumps. Simply because you got the bat head out front, and the ball is 75, 80 miles an hour. So in a situation like that, this guy throws extremely hard. His best pitch is his fastball. He throws his second best pitch, hangs it, the big boy loses.
Butcher fooled that time, and it's 3-2. Why now composure for Centella. The ace of the staff has been rocked in this series by the Longhorns, yielding 4 runs last night by virtue of the grand slam and the home run again tonight. And he walks Butcher, and DeVincentes is coming to the plate now to swing from the left side.
Well, you know, the scouting report on him that he had an outstanding fastball with a lot of movement. He established that fastball and then threw the breaking ball. Now he's throwing breaking balls. Last night he threw breaking balls. It seems like to me he's a breaking ball pitcher, and yet his coach thinks he's a fastball pitcher.
He's at it. It's been nothing but a steady diet of off-speed breaking stuff.
It's funny when you get a scouting report from a pitching coach and says this guy throws a lot of fastballs, it moves real tough to handle, real heavy ball, and then you see him throw nothing but breaking balls. You wonder what he thinks. I don't know if he thinks all these guys are great fastball hitters or what, but he's not the ace because he can't get people out with his fastball.
One thing about that breaking ball, when it breaks, it normally makes the opposing hitter look very, very bad. But when it hangs,
hey,
it's gone.
It's a nasty pitch when it bites like that. But the thing is, if you hang it, it just sits there for you.
Good cut on that one as well. So he comes back with the same pitch that has been a nightmare for him against the home run bat of Scott Bryant and Craig Newkirk last night. We're tied at 5 in the middle of the ninth. There is more drama yet to come with a home run for the Longhorns and the agony of an ace that's lost his 5-5. Our score as we move to the bottom of the ninth. Tim Brando along with Ray Knight. Happy you joined us. And these folks are happy even though they've seen their team lose a 3-run lead. We move now to the bottom half of the ninth inning, an inning that frankly the Longhorns perhaps expected to see, but the Yankees didn't. John Prather, for defensive purposes, has come in for Ed Toledo at the catching spot. And Jim Newman will start things off for the Aggies here in the bottom half of the ninth inning. Brian Dare, who's been around since the second inning, serves up a breaking ball outside and away, 1-0. Newman 0 for 3. Dare missing outside.
Well, you can
go ahead.
You can bet some heroics. We watched this game this afternoon. 7 runs in the first inning by Texas A&M. Texas comes back, scored 9 runs. Now we feel that with their Centella, their ace out there, they're going to wrap it up, and this is unbelievable.
I mean, the series itself, when you stop and think about it, has been remarkable. With the kind of game we had last night, Dressendorfer dressing up the Aggies with 7 strikeouts and a no-hitter through 6. And then suddenly the grand slam home run to open the door for Texas in a big win. And then today, up 14-9, 1 out away, 3 errors, and then another grand slam, this time for Texas A&M to win it, 18-14. A game that lasted 4 hours and 10 minutes. Texas barely had enough time to get on the bus, go back to their hotel, and change uniforms to start tonight's game. That ball up in the strike zone for ball 4. Dare is up to 90 pitches now, something that Clint Thomas, the pitching coach for the Longhorns, and Cliff Gustafson, I'm sure, are well aware of.
Well, they said he was good for 4 or 5 innings. They liked to use him only when they were going to win the ball game or the game was on the line. Because of their overuse in the earlier ball games and going through the whole pitching staff, he's been out there now for 7 innings or so, and he's gone past what they're usually using those 5 innings. He's thrown, as you say, 90, close to 100 pitches, and you can bet right now he's tired.
Darren Dacus is coming to the game now as a pinch runner for Texas A&M. He's a senior coming into the game for Jim Newland. He usually sees action in that role and that role only. Very rarely would you have a pinch hitter with a lineup like this. Kirk Thompson, 3 for 3 tonight, a walk, 2 singles, a double. Well, he's just been all over the place in this series.
Well, he's going to have to bunt him over right here. Mark says he really doesn't like to bunt because he knows his offense is so explosive, but you only need 1 run right here, so with this lineup, he's got to bunt him over.
Well, he has a bunt hit already in this game, the
slug bunt.
Slug bunt. I got the Ray Knight glossary now on big league bunting. There's the defense. They're playing in. Tied at third. Newkirk coming in. Tries to get it down the first base side. Fouled. And it's 0-1.
Well, we asked Mark about him, but he is not a real good sacrifice bunter. So what do? You know, he doesn't bunt real well as far as squaring around and bunting the ball. He always bunts the ball better on the move. Right here is a true sacrifice situation. So, you know, is he going to go ahead and bunt him all the way to 2 strikes?
There's the move over to Bird. 5-5 our score. Texas A&M at a 5-2 lead. Scott Centella gives up a 3-run homer to Scott Bryant. Cliff Gustafson suddenly back in it with a game tied at 5 in the bottom of the 9th.
As good as he swings the bat, I wouldn't be surprised to see him start the man.
Well, he had him going back the other way that time. Dacus was headed to first when the ball was being delivered to home plate.
Well, he makes good contact. If he's not a good bunter, you know he's going to put the ball in play. You know, this calls for a bunt situation here, but I've seen situations when you just wait for that left-hander to go home, you move, you create havoc in that defense, and a man like this, he gets the bat on the ball as good as anyone.
Something else to remember with Prather in the game, you may not steal as easily as you would against Toledo, who had been catching earlier.
Well, I don't believe he'd straight steal him.
There's the bunt, and the sacrifice is handled nicely by Thompson. And the runner moves up to second in the form of Darren Dacus.
He handled that rather easily.
Yes, he did. Well, there's not much he hasn't done easily in this series. Kirk Thompson has had a tremendous series.
You know, I came in here hearing about Terry Taylor and Chuck Knobloch and John Byington, and that young man has impressed me offensively, defensively, and on the base pass more than anybody. He just had a great series.
And Gustafson comes out to the hill now. Remember, Shane Reynolds is a pitcher that he could go to. Kurt Gaskell is a short relief man who normally goes 3 innings. That's Gaskell right there. A slider is his specialty. But remember, he pitched 4 innings today, and you have to wonder how much he'll have to come in this situation with the game tied at 5 in the 9th. He tried it earlier today with his stopper as a starter, Dressendorfer, and he simply didn't have it, giving up the home run.
Well, he does have good stuff. What I want to see right here is if Gus orders to walk this left-handed hitter and pitch to Knobloch. You know he is a good hitter. You need to get that double play in order out there. And Taylor being such a good clutch hitter, I imagine he's going to walk him right here.
Kurt Gaskell is in. Gus has made his move. We'll see if it pays off. Yeah, Kurt Gaskell on the hill, 2-1 with 4 saves, an ERA of 2.57. And again, a long afternoon for him today, a game that, frankly, he could have come up with a win had Dare been able to pick up the save, but the defense just didn't come through for Texas in the 9th inning.
He did throw well. Tim, he's got a good fastball that runs in. He's got a real hard breaking ball. They've got a name they call it. I can't repeat it here on the air, but he throws a occasional curveball. But he says Scott Bryan has talked about him and hitting against him in batting practice. Says he has the toughest breaking ball that he's faced all year. So he does have a nasty breaking ball. They do walk Terry Taylor intentionally, which we expected.
The runner at second is all that matters, Darren Dacus. Dacus is a bit of a story as well, sort of a comeback kid in many ways. He was injured, had major surgery last year. There's Dacus up at second base. He's the run that matters. One down, bottom of the ninth, tied at 5. Knobloch to second for one. Not in time. Knobloch is safe at first, so the inning's still alive. Well, they got the force. That was a chopper. It would have been a difficult double play, but he only beat it by a step.
Well, if you watch Terry Taylor here, how hard he goes into second base, you'll see why he doesn't turn this thing. He goes in there real hard and comes up and rolls on him, which causes that throw to sell a little bit. But Knobloch does run real well.
The Aggies are on their feet. Byington's at the plate. Gaskell has the slider. Byington's had the home runs already in this series. 2 against Dressendorfer, the number 1 pitcher for Texas. This is their number 1 reliever. We'll see what happens.